Two, one, action.
Hi, everyone. Today is September 25th, 2024, and this is the Hendrick Hudson Board of Education meeting. Can I have a motion to bring the meeting to order? Motion. Do I have a second? Second. All in favor? Thanks, everyone. We're going to start with the public hearing on the district-wide safety plan. No, we're going to do it after that. We said pledge. Want to do the pledge first? Okay, we'll rise to the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
To this public, which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moving on to the public hearing on the district-wide safety plan. Carmen, do we have anyone to speak to the?
No, you're not. You want to put this thing out first, a couple of seconds, and then make sure it's over?
So while we're waiting, good evening, everyone. While we're waiting for any public comment, if you've been tuning in since the summer, this is not deja vu, kind of, different room, different evening. We did approve our 24-25 districts-wide safety plan early on in the summer. However, after we approved that and submitted it to the state, New York State Education Department came out with two new pieces of guidance that had to be implemented in practice and also codified within our plan. So those two new pieces of guidance were that emergency drills had to be announced ahead of time. So your fire drills, your lockdowns, and that those drills had to be conducted in a trauma-informed manner. So we wanted to be 100% in line with those regulations. We updated our safety plan. We put it back up for public comment with those two new items in there. And this hearing is the accumulation of that public comment period, which we will then submit our state plan, a district plan to the state. So this is a byproduct of the early worm gets the bird.
The early worm gets the bird.
Think about that.
Do we vote on this separately?
Next meeting, we're gonna vote.
We're gonna vote on this next meeting. Okay. All right, so then we're moving on to the approval of the agenda. Does, or to our agenda, and the approval of our agenda. Does anyone have anything to pull from the consent agenda? I have to go and approve it first. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as stated? Motion to approve. Second, all in favor? Is there anyone here to speak on non-agenda items? There are no one to speak. Thank you, Carmen. Is there anyone that wants to pull anything from the consent agenda? Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as stated? Motion. Second? Second. All in favor? Okay. Are there any audience comments on agenda items? There was not. Okay. Great. So now we're moving on to our presentations from our wonderful Hendrick Hudson PTAs that have all joined us tonight. I'm so excited to see them. When I walked in, I get excited. First of all, it's exciting to have people in the audience. But it's really special to have our PTA presidents and representatives here because we know how much the PTA supports our students and supports the work of our staff and how much, they do this, they're volunteers, they do this because they really care about kids. I say it over and over again and, some of my best years of my life were my PTA work. I built some amazing relationships in that work with adults and students. And today I got to actually come in and support the PTA and selling homecoming tickets. It is like, and I did picture day, and that's just the high school. The elementary and middle school do just as much, if not more. It's just a pleasure to have you here to present and explain what you're doing this year and also explain how to become PTA members. And also remind everyone that just because you join the PTA does not mean you have to actually volunteer or raise your hand. It just means you are supporting your PTAs. The membership of the PTAs goes a really long way. And it's very inexpensive. But showing that you support your PTAs shows that you support students and all these wonderful parents that give so much of their time. So I don't think we're starting with the middle school and high school.
Good evening, everybody.
My name is Rebecca Quigley. I'm the PTSA president at the Hendrick Hudson High School. It's a pleasure and a privilege to be back in front of the school board again for what will probably be my last time as I have a graduating senior this year. So we want to give you an update from the high school and the middle school because we do so much together. There's our executive board for this year. Greg, you can go to the next slide. For those of you that have heard my updates before, there's a lot of this that is status quo, but that's for a very good reason, because we've settled on some formulas at the high school that are really working. Our winter carnival right before the February break and the Cinco de Mayo celebration in May before AP exams are having explosive attendance. So we're not reinventing the wheel. So you're going to see a lot of stuff on our slides that we've done in the past. Again, our priority is to have events where all of the students can attend for a little or no cost without having to rely on transportation. And we're also going to be continuing all of our publicity for all the student-run events that happen at the school, because I think if you're a student, you're following some of your student-run Instagram pages, but we have a larger audience, so we always piggyback and echo what they're doing so that everybody gets the word out. And we're going to continue to work with the staff and the guidance office for all the student-centered programming. And we are also going to continue our fundraising efforts. We have instituted a couple of new events. Last year, we did a $250 challenge in January where we asked people to contribute to their student's grade. And when we hit $250, we gave half of it back to that grade because the kids are having a hard time fundraising, especially grades that are still coming out of the pandemic. So that fundraiser was very successful for us. We also ran a flamingo flock fundraiser in the spring. I'm sure a lot of you saw the pink flocks around town. That was a huge success, actually partially due to our president, Erica Mills. So thank you for your work there. And we're going to be running that again this year. And then the other priority for us this year is to make sure that we have parent involvement. And I speak from a personal aspect here. The high school students, I think there's a perception in town and just in general that when you get to high school, you're not needed at the school and the kids don't need volunteers. Well, that couldn't be farther from the truth. And I would argue that our high school students need parents in the building as much as our elementary students. We have seen such a response to the programs that we've instigated at the high school. The kids need us and the kids love what we're doing. So I encourage everybody to get involved. And as Erica said, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to volunteer for the PTA at all. As long as you want to join our membership, that's awesome. But if you do want to get involved, I promise you, your kids won't turn you away. So it's really, really incredible, the response that we're getting at the high school. Okay. So as I said, a lot of our events are going to carry over from last year. We've already been at the ice cream social for the 9th grade students. We have a huge weekend planned this weekend for homecoming, or as the high school kids call it in their slang, HOCO. And my kids are going to cringe that I said that. But we have a ton of events. We already had our color run last weekend where we had a great attendance, and especially thank you to our elementary and middle school students for joining us that day. Friday night is the big game. There's a Hall of Fame induction ceremony at 5 o'clock. The game versus Irvington is 6 o'clock. We have our dance on Saturday night, this is our 3rd year running it. And it's for Hen Hut High School students only. And then we have a pancake breakfast happening on Sunday morning from 10 a.m. to 1, and the entire community is invited to that. Claire's going to be cooking for us in the cafeteria, and we created this event to hopefully bring the community together so everybody can hang out after the weekend, dish over what happened over the weekend, talk about the game, talk about the dance, kind of decompress, and we have an iced coffee bar for everybody, so we hope you'll all join us. You're all cordially invited. Our fundraising efforts for this year are largely the same. They're listed there on the slide. And again, we're going to continue with all of our bilingual communications. And also, like I said, incredibly important, recruiting new parents, especially freshman and sophomore parents, welcoming them into the fold and encouraging more volunteering at the high school level. As far as the school board support and advocacy, I think my requests are largely the same as previous years. We are so grateful for this seat at your table. Annually, we're really, really appreciative. And we love giving these updates, and we're so grateful for your time and your attention. I also just want to put in a last minute plea one more time. Can we please automate the school board building use forms? Please, can we automate them? So that they're not having to be filled out in duplicate, especially for the PTAs when we host so many events. It's really, really difficult to get all the forms. They're paper forms, and I would love if we could figure out some sort of automated system. So that's my annual plea for changing the BOE building use forms. Okay, and I'm going to turn the microphone over to Myra Sullivan, the new president of the PTA at the middle school.
Thank you, Rebecca. So, I'm Myra Sullivan. As Rebecca said, I'm the president of the Blue Mountain Middle School. And I'm going to keep on some new things as Janine and the previous board did in the past. We are continuing the communication with the parents. But this year we have decided to do a parent liaison to help bring in more parents and more parent volunteers within the school. We would like to continue more support with the principal and the faculty. And one of the things that the parents would like to do this year and with the board is bring in a monthly staff and supporting the staff with bringing them either treats or just trying to help the staff in supporting their needs. And sometimes it just might be a little thing that's bringing them a monthly treat in their faculty room. We would like to bring more communication to the families and what we're doing to help advocate for their children and for the students this year. And we have been working closely with Mr. Giovanazzi and working on the schedule throughout the year. We've been doing some events. We already started with meeting the principal and doing a social event with the sixth graders. We have started one of the big fundraisers is we doing the proud parent of a sailors that we have been selling at our Meet the Teacher, and we thank the elementary PTA that allow us to sell them at their Meet the Teacher this week. We are bringing back the basketball March Madness. We are also going to want to do the December trip now I'm coming back. Corby, what did we do last year? The December.
The holiday.
Yes. The holiday boutique that we did last year. It was Barnes and Nobles.
Sarah.
No, we're not doing Panera this year. We're switching it up this year to a different restaurant and Buff City. We're also going to do a spirit wear alongside with the high school. We are going to bring back the first aid kits, and we are doing the election bake sale again. And this year, we want to do a parent night out. We are doing, again, we're trying to just switch a little things up, but not too much, just to try to bring in more fundraising to do more activities for our students. Next. We're going to continue the Ask a Ninth Grader panel. We want to do the used book sale again with the high school. And we are working alongside again with the SEPTA and the advocacy to do some reports. And we just ask if you can also not forget to join the middle school PTA. And again, you do not need to put in much work. You can help and contribute as little and as much as you would like. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions for the high school or the middle school?
Can you provide the information for how to join, like, where should parents be going to join your PTAs?
Yeah, good question. So I know at the high school, it's in Principal Schollins's Friday emails. The link is there. Also, I know the high school, we've been sending out a lot of email blasts lately because of all the HOCO events. So there's always a link in there to join. Actually, I believe, Mr. Trombley, you've also put the link in your messages a couple of times as well. So am I right?
And Mr. Giovanazzi also sends out a Friday email, and he also puts in the link. And we have also been putting it on our social media blast also at least once or twice a week.
Yes, and in addition to that, in general terms, you can simply go to our website and search PTA in the search
Yes.
bar, and it'll bring you to the PTA login, where you can not only sign up for the PTA membership, but also get your PTA gear and spirit wear, all those types of things. And having been flamingo flocked, I can say it was an inspiring moment to.
Mr. Trombley, I also want to thank you for attending the color run.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
I've seen the pictures.
We're not distributing those widely. But it was a pleasure.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Can I respond to the facility?
Yes.
So Rebecca, I did hear you last time about the facilities, the multiple triplicate form. We did look at, two different systems. We did choose one. So it's just being very hectic to implement it. So it is on our radar for this year to implement it.
Fantastic, Benita. Thank you so much.
Good job advocating.
But it may require you staying on another year or two.
I think we're gonna go with the elementary PTA next. And I'm gonna ask my EC members, if you guys can come up with me, please. All of you. So while they're making their way up front, thank you, Board of Ed, for allowing us the space and the opportunity to present. My name is Tanitra Watson. I'm one of the co-presidents of the elementary school PTA. I'm gonna let my colleagues behind me have the floor and introduce themselves as well.
I'm Rayola Cheladrai, one of the co-VPs at BB. And I'm Martha Marrero, I'm also co-VP, again, like. And I'm Jess Burbeck, and I'm one of the co-VPs at Frenchie Lindsay.
Thank you guys. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep this short and sweet. So we are the Hen Hud Elementary PTA. We are a 501c3 nonprofit volunteer organization. Our leadership committee does exist of up to 11 members. There's 2 co-presidents, myself and also Rebecca Chess-Pettit. We have up to 6 vice presidents. We have Jess Burbeck, Rayola Cheladure, Martha Marrero, Katie Riley Stromer, Shirley Soto, and we also just finished up our special election. So now in the VP role, we have Nepali Dooley. We have up to 2 secretaries, Jenny Rivera, and we also have Heath Wolfield. And then we have 1 treasurer, Romeo Senjen. And we support all 3 elementary schools, which is making its way upwards of close to 1,000 students. Next slide. So what we do and how to join. We do a myriad of events from playground meetups. Those usually happen over the summer in August, to Chalk the Walk, trying to welcome back all the staff and the students to the first day of school, movie nights, game nights, and we also do festivals. As far as fundraisers, so we try to do a number of fundraisers throughout the school year. Some of the fundraisers that we've done consistently consist of the school toolbox, which actually started early this summer, where it's an opportunity for families to basically have a one-stop shop in purchasing school supplies. So we do get some of those proceeds as a fundraiser back to us. Also with school photos and school picture day. So this was something new that I learned when I first came on and started joining the PTA a few years ago, is that I did not realize that school pictures were actually a fundraiser that was supported and run by the PTA. So that's another one of the fundraisers that we do. And then one of our bigger fundraisers is also the Scholastic Book Fair. In regards to different events that we do throughout the school year, we do a number of things where we provide and support principal grants, teacher grants. We do appreciation lunches and appreciation days for all of our staff and all of our administrators. And then in regards to how to join, so like Mr. Trombley said, please feel free to go to our website and search PTA. You will find that there is different levels of ways that you can contribute and be involved with the PTA, anywhere from just purchasing a membership to being a chair of a committee and helping out with different projects and volunteer opportunities throughout the school year. There's also different levels of memberships that can be purchased for your membership here on the website. So we have individual memberships, which is our standard membership of $15. We also have teacher, staff memberships, additional family memberships, which are $10. And then we also have student memberships. So if you would like your student to be a PTA member, that's a $5 membership. That's a great way for anyone to get involved and get started with trying to participate in the PTA. We want to do all that we can to increase the numbers of our membership. I think as of yesterday, the last time I checked, we had 220 members who had joined the PTA. Our goal is to make it to that 310 mark, so we're almost there. Allowing us to meet that goal really opens up some doors for us in regards to the state PTA and be recognized in different ways, so help us reach that goal. Is there anything that you guys would like to say and contribute? Okay, are there any questions from the board? Yes.
Do you still have people are you still looking for people to join different committees on the PTA?
Yes, we are. So we will be sending out email blasts asking for individuals to volunteer. We have a number of committees. We have dance and social events committees. We have yearbook committees. We have fairs and festivals. We have beautification. Pretty much anything that you guys can think of, there's a committee for it. And if not, we definitely encourage you to come and start that committee. More is more where the PTA is concerned. More is more. Any other questions? Great. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, we are SEPTA, just does double duty, so I do double duty, and I'm Carrie Benedictus. And we're the co-presidents of SEPTA. We have a very small board. It's me, Carrie, as your co-president. Our VP is Chrissy Ochaki. Our treasurer is Nancy Villanova, and our secretary is Emily Pedersen. That is our email out there. We did on the left side, just, and for everybody, just take note of it. If you have any questions about, what we do, or if you're having any problems with your students, definitely email us, and we often have answers. Yeah. And if we don't have the answer, we can point you to the person who does have the answer. All right, what we do. So SEPTA is a little bit different than your traditional middle, high, and elementary PTA. So we actually advocate for all the students in our district. And that ranges from children in preschool aged 3 through actually adults aged 25, which is new in New York State as of last year. Used to go to 21, now it goes to 25. So we advocate for everybody. We have not just our special ed students. You do not have to have a 504. You do not have to have an IEP. You do not have to be an AIS. We do also cover gifted, and we cover everybody. We will advocate for your child regardless of your situation. We are here to help. That is what we do. We support and fund activities and grants for our special education programs and our special education classes throughout all 5 buildings of the district. We are really working very hard, especially this year, to make a lot of our meetings where it is guest speakers. We want to do as much as we can to educate our parents and make sure everything we do is informational. This is what we're here for. And again, our meetings are not always special education, targeted. So a lot of the speakers we have relate to everybody in the community. Fundraising. That's where I'm up. You're all up fundraising. So I am going to make the same plea everyone else did. Membership is one of our number ways that we can really fundraise for us. And we are often the group that teachers and people come to after they've really exhausted their their other buildings and the other PTAs, and they often come to us. So we like to do as much as we can for them, and of course for our special education classes. We are hosting a fundraiser at Chipotle on November 9th. So all proceeds will go to us. So everyone come out and eat, please, on November 9th. And of course, direct donations are always welcome, and we offer hybrid meetings, so that's another really
great opportunity for people to kind of check it out and see if it's, you know, something. Keep an eye out for what speakers we have coming up. We send emails to the entire district.
Yes.
So,
You probably get tired.
yes, I'm sorry. I know, we're sorry to double email all of you, but that's the only way we can get the word out, so. And if you have any, you know, friends, family that need support, please, you know, send them our way.
And we will help you even if you're not a member. We do encourage you to be members, but we will help you if you're not a member. We can get you advocates. I myself am an advocate. I know other advocates in the district. We are currently working on updating our page on the district site with we really want to bulk it up with a lot of information. We've been working very closely with Lisa Schuckman and Olivia Chris and PPS. And we really just want to help our students. That is our number one goal.
And we really appreciate all of you guys have done for us, Mr. Trombley too. We're really, you know, the communication in the last year and a half is
Amazing.
amazing, and we, you know, and receptive too. So we really appreciate that. All of us do, I believe.
Yes.
Good say. So thank you.
Yes.
Any questions?
Okay, yeah.
Just confirming again, I believe, Jess, that you said it, can you only join SEPTA if your child has a 504 or a
Absolutely, no.
So
We are
anybody
for
can join.
every single student.
And then my second thing is not a question, but a comment. Last year I attended most of your meetings. And I just wanted to say, I think people are missing out by not coming because, as you said, there's a presentation pretty much at every meeting and they're so informative. Last year we had, one of the meetings that just comes to mind is the guide dog
Yeah.
one. There was
Service dog.
the service dog, yes, and they talk about the difference between the different types of dogs and how they're trained and everything else. So I just wanted to say thank you because I'm learning a lot as I'm going to all of your meetings, so I appreciate it and I hope more people start coming out and
And-
benefiting from those meetings.
In June, we do often do, last year we did it and we're planning on doing it again this year. We do like kind of a, you know, summer readiness, like kind of keep going through these, and that one really relates to everybody, you know, things you can do over the summer to kind of not get off track.
We had a lot of mental health topics.
Yes.
That's really hits everybody. You don't have to be a special education student to have mental health.
Next month, we're having sensory, the 16th is sensory month,
Next
so. All right, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
On behalf of the Henry Hudson Central School District, particularly administration and staff, I want to extend my deepest thanks and gratitude to all of our PTAs. When I first came on board, PTA member referred to what they do as PTA, and I said, you refer to it as a verb. And based upon all the work that we see you do, yes, it is a verb. So thank you for the time and commitment you give to all of our students. It's a pleasure to be a part of the PTA. And for all of the support you give us, I'm extremely grateful. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, the next is we're gonna have a discussion about the NYSBA, New York State School Board Association's 2024 proposed resolutions. So just to give a quick background on this, every year, the New York State School Board Association asks school districts in New York State, as well as their board of directors, as well as their committees within the NYSBA to put forward resolutions, potential resolutions, and then they meet and they discuss which ones they want to put forward to the larger group of 600 plus schools in New York State. And we are one vote of 600 plus schools. Now, there's a convention, what day is it? Do we know? October 10th? Yeah, when there's a virtual town hall webinar where our vote for Hendrick Hudson will be cast. This year, there were 37 resolutions that were put forward by NYSBA, and Corey and Lauren attended the meeting, their Westchester Putnam School Board Association's meeting, advocacy meeting discussing each of these. And what we're starting with here is what we started with here was the rationale that we have the just so everyone has context. We have the rationale from NISBA on why they're putting forward these resolutions, supporting them or not supporting them. And then we also have the Westchester Putnam School Boards Associations, after their conversations, their suggestion, to move them forward or not. And now we have to decide as a board and we get one vote. So it's gonna be based on consensus for each item. So to make this go as smoothly as possible, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to ask
I could just add, there's how
Yeah.
many districts in New York? State?
over 600.
So we're 1/600th of a decision.
Yeah.
Just in terms of what the real movement of a needle in any direction from whatever we decide here, it all relates to 1/600th of a vote.
Yes, and not every school will join.
Not to
all.
minimize the work. you
Yeah, and
guys
not-
do, but
not
kind of
one-
The impact of our actual decisions are in the grand scheme of New York State's decision.
And the reason that this overall is important is that this is how NISBA decides where they will place their advocacy efforts for this year and the following year, and then it gives them direction. But we are one vote of several hundred. I think it's fantastic that we participate in this. It keeps us informed of what's going on that's outside of our small, our small world. And I think we each learn a lot every year we go through this process. I think we do learn a lot, so thank you all for participating.
I also wanted to add that it's not necessarily us voting on the action, it's voting on allowing NISBA to do further legislative work for it, or look further into it. So it's not necessarily we're making a decision on an action, it's just saying, do we feel that it's valuable for them to spend time looking further into this?
And in terms of time and effort, at the first meeting, Corey and Lauren sat in, it's several hours, right? And then after we're done, the next meeting they're gonna sit on is many, many hours. And yeah, so they're gonna put in a tremendous amount of time on behalf of all of us. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
makes sense.
You know, it's no vet signed up for that one.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
I
Jen Bacher did it. Jen Bacher did it, I think, at least.
Stephanie did it.
Yeah, you did it, Jen, too.
I did it. It's.
You didn't say
It's a really good way, it is a really good way to learn about the process and what goes on outside of just Hendrick Hudson, so.
Well, and I think one thing that Mr. Trombley said that stuck with me is that maybe we'll put forth
Yeah,
a proposal like next year of something that we feel strongly about, and then it sort of gives us a little bit more of a place at the table if we have participated.
yes. So what I'm gonna do to make this, we're trying to make this go as smoothly as possible, is just so the public knows, we have read all of this and we were gonna be voting in big chunks. We may not have discussions on any of this, but all of this is in board docs for review. Everyone has what they need in front of them? Yes,
Yeah, that's for you guys to share.
okay,
Okay.
Yeah.
so,
It might help to review, to go through the top, the little legend area.
okay, so here's so everyone knows, these are our options. We can support the bylaw amendment of resolution, we can support resolution if amended. We can request an amendment, which then our delegate, which will be Lauren, will have to raise their hand, I believe, and actually ask them and pitch the amendment at the meeting, just an FYI, if we would like to do something like that, that would fall on Lauren to do. We can oppose the bylaw, we can make no decision, which is abstain if we don't feel strongly one way or the other about something. And that is how we'll proceed. So
And also the DEI committee.
Yes. there is a DEI committee under NISBA that has recommended items to put forward. And we have that information here, whether they opposed or supported the resolutions. Did I miss anything?
No.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do is to make this go as smoothly as possible is I'm gonna ask anyone if they have any resolutions to pull for discussion, 1 through. Hold on a second, we're just gonna do 1 through 25. So does anyone have any resolutions they would like to pull 1 through 25 for discussion? Anything? No.
Well,
Number 4.
aren't we,
You,
I'm a little confused, here comes my confusion.
yes,
So I thought you were gonna go through
you're gonna say one, and are we all gonna say? support?
We can do it that way, or we can do it like that. And if there's any that we wanna, I don't wanna go through every one and say support, oppose, it's gonna take us forever. So
Okay, so
the
then-
easier way to do this was
Go
to
right to the
pull,
ones that people want to talk.
yes, let's pull what we wanna discuss.
Okay, I have a question about 3.
Of course, so what we're gonna, so 3, we're gonna hold on, I'm ready, taking notes, 3, we're gonna hold on. Anything else anyone wants to discuss?
You were good on 4.
I'm good on 4 because we're just going with the opposite, we don't have to talk, we're gonna,
Right.
Um,
10.
10 was one we had said we were gonna pull.
I thought we were doing 13.
13,
This is my notes.
and then 25.
I had 31 too.
31,
That's in the next
we're gonna do,
chunk.
that's the next
Oh,
batch.
next chunk.
Yeah.
Was
Okay,
there anyone, so we have
That's it.
3, 10, 13, 25.
yeah,
Anybody have any other ones they wanted to pull?
okay, so. We also need to pull number 15. We need to pull number 15 as well.
Right, because we're disagreeing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna do the same thing, but we're gonna vote now to support the numbers I call. Okay, so we're gonna vote and move away from some of these and get them done, and then we'll move on to the ones we pulled. Okay,
Just 1 through 25. though,
yes,
right?
just 1 through 25.
Correct. Those are the ones that West Putt supported.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I'd like to make a motion to support as written, resolutions 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
No.
Nope, not 10. 9, 11, 12, 14, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. Do I have a second on that motion? All in favor? That's easy. Okay, so now we can, let's discuss the first chunk of 25. We pulled number 3. Stephanie, what did you wanna?
In the notation, my concern is about the mandated curriculum
In number 3?
in number 3. So it says the Board of Regents mandated curriculum. So I'm not against what the resolution stands for, but I don't want them giving us a cookie cutter curriculum that's mandated for every community, because every community is different.
I don't see, okay, hold on. And
If you
just,
go to the notes, maybe I'm reading it wrong, it says, notes on recommended resolutions, number 3. Concerns about legislators or Board of Regents mandating a curriculum. I mean, it's over 600 school districts,
I know.
mandating a one size fits all cookie cutter curriculum.
I don't see where it says mandated in this, in number 3.
It's on the note. It's in there.
No, they're just saying, they're not saying they are mandating, they're just saying there's concerns.
Oh,
that
it
would
is,
happen.
yes,
NISBA has concerns,
Westchester Putnam has concerns.
but nowhere did it say that they are definitely mandating a curriculum. They're just, I guess they're gonna give backlash if they are trying to.
Okay, so here, then we're supporting. Maybe we should, I'm gonna give backstory on this one. This is one that's sunsetting, which means they put it forward, I think, 3 years ago. And they're asking to extend it for further work. The way that I read this is 2020 or 2021, New York State School Board Association recommended that each school create a DEI policy. It's not mandated, it's not required, it's recommended. We did that. That was one of the first things we did when we got through this year, right? And it also aligned with our strategic plan. So when I read this myself, I read it as, wow, this is basically our policy, right? I didn't read the mandate piece, but I think that in the conversation that Corey and Lauren were on a Monday, it sounds like there were concerns around it being, they sounded like it sounded like they supported it, but they don't want to see mandated curriculum, right?
Yeah,
That's the
because
concern?
they're saying they were okay with it because it says encouraging school boards, not the Board of Regents.
So it's,
So it's why they supported it, even that was the
oh,
conversation.
it's the reverse of what she's,
Right, so like they highlighted
school boards.
that this is take a leadership role in encouraging school boards to not Board of Regents and whatever the other one was, the.
Yeah, it is confusing. I agree with you.
A lot of them are not worded very.
This resolution in and of itself, to me, is basically reads just like our own
Yeah.
DEI policy.
Yeah, I do too. That's
Yeah.
why I don't want them coming in and
Yeah.
saying something different.
So just to clarify. WSBA's, so the Westchester Putnam School Boards, worksheet that you have before you is a summary of what they discussed at their meeting.
All the people that called in, a summary of what, so they basically, a lot of people said different things, but then this says, but resolution targeted at school boards.
Right.
Not boards of region or legislatures.
So they're basically supporting the
Right.
NYSBA work to encourage school boards to move forward with those actions.
Okay.
Which is work we've been doing.
Correct.
I saw that mandate.
Yeah.
What?
So I'm assuming based upon the note, the discussion that occurred around resolution 3 of NYSBA's. Delegates expressed concerns about mandating curriculum.
Similar to what you're saying.
Yeah, it should be in full sentences here.
Yeah. Should,
I think that would have.
you're supporting this one, yes.
Okay, I'm good.
Okay, I would like to, we can go around the room and vote on this. Can we make a motion? Do we have to go around the room and vote, or can we just ask? Make a motion. I'd like to make a motion to support, sunsetting resolution number 3.
Second.
All in favor? Okay. Number 10. Number 10 is NYSBA support hybrid electric buses as an alternative option to the New York State 100% zero emission electric school bus or ESB fleet mandate by 2035. So I read this as, right now, in 2035, every school in New York State is supposed to have all electric school buses. They're asking, the Ontario School Board is asking that they support the use of hybrid electric buses as an alternative option, instead of mandating all electric. That's how I read this.
So that they have the
Yeah.
option to also get other ones instead of,
Just in case they.
just as an alternative option.
Those things are expensive, so it's.
They're extremely
Yeah.
expensive.
And then you're not
I read-
relying
I
on-
read it because hybrid, because the electric buses that were strictly electric had issues.
Yes, some have it.
Yeah.
Correct, the.
So that's why they want to
NYSBA
give another option.
stance is advocating for the addition of the hybrid technology along with electronic, because the hybrid technology is more developed.
I
Okay,
support
so
it.
Can I say if, because I'm not sure if if I'm thinking clearly about this. In supporting this, because even this is an expensive mandate, an extremely expensive mandate, because we don't have the infrastructure. So if this goes through,
Well, we're already in there. We're in it.
So they're not saying that they wanna make a mandate, they're saying
mandate's
the
there.
mandate's there. But now that the mandate is there for all electric buses, which we were just saying, like, we might not have the grid for that, right? Or it's gonna take an impact on our community. They're saying since that mandate is here, a lot of communities are gonna be in that same boat. Is there an alternative such as having, getting some of them as hybrid buses?
yeah, but I don't understand why they wouldn't make it a free market solution. So school districts that can't even afford the hybrid one, like, they're still
Because that's-
supporting
Because
the
that's the
mandate.
state, this is a mandate.
What do they want to go against the
Want-
mandate?
I'm
The
sure
state
they're
mandate,
going to push, but they're saying at least then can
Goes
we have
against the
hybrid?
emissions and the whole point of the. mandate.
So NYSBA is saying that we don't agree with the timeline. We know it's difficult for districts.
yes.
This resolution hopefully can provide some relief.
By giving us an alternative.
They also said the committee noted that the technology for hybrid is much more developed, logistics are simpler at the district level, ranges are longer, and the costs are significantly less than for electronic.
Remember,
And they
hybrid,
might still be fighting for none of this, but the mandate's in place, right? So at least
We have an option.
we have an
And
option.
I mean,
I'm sure people are still fighting I mean, realistically,
It's expensive.
do we think we're gonna have a full fleet? I mean, we have to, but at what cost?
Higher taxes.
I will, yes, and I will also say the hybrid option does allow us to use gasoline. So,
For longer trips, because we already
Or
researched
Yeah.
weather,
that.
like weather dependent trips, things like
but
that.
they do get better gas mileage and go longer range, and if it's anything like my car that is hybrid, it recharges when you use the brakes. So, I mean, it's just another option.
I think.
And it's also just a discussion, so.
Yeah.
Do I have to hold it?
I would like to make a motion to support, Jill wanted to say,
I was just gonna make a comment. It is really unrealistic in all of our eyes that this is even gonna take place. And the fact that they expect it to take place by 2035 is probably the most unrealistic thing I've ever heard. Between the infrastructure and the cost, there isn't any other, there isn't anything in place to support the districts. And that's what districts are looking for, and they're looking for more guidance, and it's just kind of been shoved down everybody's throat. And realistically speaking, I don't think it's gonna happen. And by 2035, and everyone's trying to push it out further. I think all of this is just an alternative to thought, like, let's start thinking realistically and saying, maybe we could have hybrid buses instead. Would you consider that? The other thing, like you said, is already a mandate. It's already in place. We've already been told that this has to happen. I don't think any district is gonna be able to live up to those expectations, and they're still fighting for that. So I think you should just keep that in mind.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to support, resolution 10. Second, all in favor? Okay. The next was 13. 13 is NISBA support legislation at the state level that would allow school districts whose pre-K programs are oversubscribed to show enrollment preference to students who are economically disadvantaged and or are English language learners until such time as the program becomes truly universal. So this one doesn't really apply to us because of the situation that we're in right now. We actually have universal pre-K. I would like to make a recommendation for us to abstain as an ND on this one, but I would like to hear everyone else's thoughts on this.
I mean, the difficult part is that it doesn't apply to us, so, but there are districts out there who are not in the same.
Right, they're not
in the same boat as us, right? They have to make choices, so. Do we want for those districts to be able to provide services to students who might need it more than based on need?
I can't wrap my head around that because I think it's inequitable. Because if you look at income levels and what would be a family, if I just use
and there's no reference in this of that.
if I just use social services and what an income level would provide me with services. You're gonna take middle class people who can't afford it. And they won't be able to benefit from it. So
Or might not be able to, we're not saying, because then it's gonna become like we don't know. This is a we don't know. And again, this is supporting legislation.
honestly, there's not enough information here for me to support something like this. Because you really are a lot of middle class families. Just do free and reduced lunch. How many people didn't get it until they changed the guidelines? So you would have a lot of middle class families who pay taxes not be able to obtain the services. How fair is that? And if the
Well, it's not
state,
saying they won't be able to,
yeah, but if the state has the funding for that,
their chances just might be slimmer. It's not necessarily they're not going to get it. It's saying that before you do the lotto, you would offer it to those who are in need more and then still do a lotto. So it's not saying they won't be able to.
I still think.
The lotto will just be like less, like if you were playing actual
At one
lotto.
day, we're gonna give all kids, give them what they need. Now you're picking a group. And you're saying the other group is excluded.
I was also surprised here, and this is the wording, and even when you read the rationale in this one, I'm surprised that they didn't specifically call out students that would qualify for special education services as well, because I didn't like the way this one, I don't like the way this one's worded myself. It doesn't really apply to us, so my recommendation was gonna be that we just abstain from this one.
I think it doesn't apply to us, so
Hmm.
we don't have enough information.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
That was making my recommendation.
Jeremy,
So
No decision.
no decision on this one.
Mm-hmm.
Can I have I'm gonna make a motion to vote no decision on resolution 13. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay. 15. So 15 is NYSBA shall advocate for the New York State Swims Initiative to be extended and expanded to include additional enhanced and targeted state funding specifically dedicated to constructing pools in K-12 schools and for increased aid for operating maintenance and staffing costs associated with these facilities. This enhanced funding should be built into the building aid formulas to promote equitable and year-round access to swimming instruction for all students. So Westchester School Board Association voted to, decided together that they would, oppose this. I lean towards agreeing with that because this is a cost, and I think in the rationale it explains, this is a cost exorbitant ask. I mean, talk about school buses, they wants the government to pay for this, we can barely have room for fields here. So we can either, we can vote to, I mean, I'm making a suggestion that we oppose this and go along with Westchester Putnam. We could also make a no decision.
Opposed it.
Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion to oppose, resolution 15. All in favor? Okay, and now we're going to 25. NYSBA supports and upholds the mission of the Conference of Big Five school districts, promoting a more equitable and adequate funding system and the delivery of a high-quality education to all children. Central to this mission is the belief that all children can succeed and should be afforded appropriate support and educational opportunities throughout their lives. NYSBA shall promote and advocate for fiscal and programmatic priorities that are aligned with this mission. So I agree with their mission. I think we all would agree with their mission. But when you read the rationale, it's specifically calling out Yonkers, Albany, Buffalo, Mount Vernon, New York City, Rochester, and Syracuse. And the rationale, the wording within the rationale makes it sound like we're support, listen, I think the rationale, if you guys read it, is saying that those 5 schools have more underprivileged, more challenges, more E&L students. But they also get more funding because of, they fit into those categories. Supporting this to me is saying that we're supporting them getting more. NYSBA advocating for them to get more. I don't think that we have a full picture of what that means for the rest of the state and.
They get federal funding too.
Yeah.
More federal.
So the big 5 in general terms sort of live outside of the normal rules and regulations that the other 660 school districts live by. So there's often different legislation and different funding formulas and different regulations that impact them. And I believe that NYSBA is simply saying that they're going to, from a legislative standpoint, advocate to support the mission of those big 5.
see, so I was reading into it that they were supporting them getting more foundation aid.
It's the way that, because it's the way that,
They're trying to redo the foundation aid formula.
that's the way that this reads to me.
So I was like, whoa, because we all know when they were redoing the formula this year, a lot of school districts lost out. So I'm not supporting that. If that means they redo that formula and the other 600 and something school districts lose money. Because we lost a huge chunk of money with the closure of Indian Point.
And in the rationale, it says the big 5 large city school districts are heavily reliant on state funds and have no ability to raise local revenue, given their fiscal dependency, and Albany, Mount Vernon, and Utica are limited by the tax cap imposed upon school funding systems and the proliferation of charter schools. This one, I don't know. I feel like the way that this reads to me, I don't think we should actually oppose. I think we should do a no decision on this one, because I feel like the wording is not clear, is my feeling.
I'm fine.
You're different.
Indifferent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You are different too.
Yeah, you are different. I just. I wish it was written.
I think about it, like, if they get more money, then, you know, the foundation aid changes, like the formula,
Yeah.
then maybe we get more money.
Maybe, doesn't read that way though.
There's one pot. That funding is one pot of money. So when you redo that funding, you're spreading it around differently.
Yeah, but if they get more support aid, if they get more aid that funnels to their school, it has to be more for the rest of us too, right?
Mhm.
No, no.
Where are you getting it?
No, I'm just saying, like, if they're not, this is not like set in stone, it's just saying we support them advocating for it, right? So,
Well, if they're getting more, it's coming from somewhere else, that means someone else gets less.
okay, I mean, if that's how we're gonna.
I wished it was more clear. That's
Yeah,
why
it's
I don't
not,
oppose
it's
it.
not enough information.
Yeah, I don't oppose it.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really oppose it. I just don't really think it's clear. And that's why I think a no decision is the right way to go on it. I just wish there was more information attached to it.
I'm fine with that, yeah.
So I'd like to make a motion to, vote no decision, for resolution 25.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, that was easy. Okay. The next batch is, resolutions 26 through 37, which Westchester Putnam School Board Association's advocacy team and meeting, recommended to oppose, resolutions 26 through 37. Does anyone have any ones they'd like to pull to discuss from 26 through 37 before we move forward with also opposing them?
The thing that's confusing here is the double negative.
It's very confusing language.
It's like we're opposing them, opposing it, and then,
Yes,
so are we supporting it then? Like,
No, we're saying we agreed to oppose.
we agree to oppose. We will vote to oppose on from 26 to 37 unless there's one that we'd like to pull. Personally, I'd like to pull 31 and suggested to pull, I would like to pull 31. So,
discussion,
yes,
okay.
I mean, they oppose it, so what?
you're gonna hear, I'm gonna tell you the rationale, and hearing from all talking to everyone, I think we should just quickly glance over it and move forward. But 26, so I'm gonna make a motion to oppose resolutions 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, and 37. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay, so 31 is NYSBA shall oppose any legislation or NICED regulation mandating comprehensive K-12 gender and sexuality education. I'm gonna start. This is so confusing to me. The way that this was written in the rationale was confusing to me. I don't not support K-12 gender and sexuality education. I actually agree it should be a local. I feel like it should be a local. It shouldn't be mandated. So I agree with this, but I don't think we should have vote to agree with it. I'm gonna recommend voting a no decision because in the rationale, it is really, there's not enough information within this rationale or the explanation for me to feel comfortable voting to support it or oppose it. That's me personally.
But they're opposing the mandated comprehensive. They're not?
Shall
It's
oppose
so
any-
confusing.
They're opposing any legislation
So-
or NICED regulation mandating comprehensive K through 12 gender.
Mandating.
31
Right.
says NYSBA will
Opposing the
oppose any legislation on mandating it. They're opposing that, so they're opposing the opposition to cancel it out.
Because they agree with what you said, it should be up to the school, individual schools.
So those school districts listed there, School District Board of Education, asked NYSBA to oppose any of that legislation, and NYSBA is opposing that.
They're opposing the opposed.
Yes.
So Westchester School Board Association,
Wants it.
but opposing this doesn't mean they want it.
No. It's not.
This is what I was just saying about the double negative. This is what the meeting was.
That's why I
The
would,
people were confused.
this one here,
Aren't they opposing it?
this
Yeah.
one here,
Well, that means
not
they
to-
support it.
not to
Yeah.
get into a
Yes.
whole conversation, I read this 16 times, confuses the living out of me. I think we should just ND it up, make an ND on this one. No decision.
That's fine.
That's fine.
That's fine.
That's fine. We're good on that.
My brain hurts. Okay,
I was like, they were
Okay.
posing the mandate, I don't know.
but it's
Yeah, I
not,
was like, that's good.
but they're not.
Okay, no decision,
So
make the motion.
I'm gonna make a motion to have no decision on resolution 31.
Second.
All in favor? That was beautiful. Thank you all. Thank you for being prepared. Thank you guys for going to that meeting and thank you for that.
Yeah,
That was
that
very
sounds
good.
fun.
Thank you for going to the next meeting.
I've done that one before, it's not fun.
This time and ask. Do you get, no, you're good? No, it's clear on what you're voting?
Yeah, so when I got on the call, this is literally,
That's your, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's your guide sheet.
And the tricky part is,
Charge your phone.
so just another thing for everyone to know, and our newbies here, because I did sit on this call a few years ago.
will be 8 hours.
It's really interesting, and I'm hoping they change the format for you. They can make an argument from the floor. That you, Lauren, may sit there and go, oh, I didn't think of that, none of us thought of that, but you can't change our votes.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
No, but that's the silly part of making an argument from the floor, is that of all these delegates, you can't change your board's vote. Like, you're gonna go in there, you're gonna say, oh my gosh, we didn't think of that, we didn't read it that way. But you can't text us all and say, oh, it's really just go with it. Because
Don't listen to anything.
there was something that came up and I was like, oh, that's a good point, we didn't think of that, and I still had to vote against it or whatever it was, but yes, it's a process. I mean, we threw you right into the deep end. It's good. Okay, on to the next is our district building department goals.
So as Greg is pulling up our PDF of the work that our administrators have done, and before I give the introduction, I just want to, for the 19 odd people that are watching, if any of them are students, I know one of them is my son, because he said I was talking for too long. Thank you, Michael. And he was watching the meeting. My wife just texted me and said that. That what you are seeing in place here is you are seeing our democracy in action. So WISBA and NISBA are lobbyist groups. They're a group of individuals who seek to get agendas passed within the legislature, who seek to communicate to the legislature what they would like to see occur. And there are a number of groups that do that all at the same time this year with the same overall direction of supporting students, but just take different ways. So for instance, there's the New York State Council of School Superintendents. They have a legislative arm whose job is to do much similar things. So if any of our students stayed up and watched that process, please know that this is your democracy in action. And it's a key component of school serving on the school board to advocate for all students, not just students here at Hen Hud. So thank you to the board for demonstrating that to our students and how to do that in the democratic process.
Thank you.
So as Greg has pulled up our building departmental and district goals, I want to frame this out when we last left you in June, we did a reflection on the district goals and the progress made towards those goals. And we discussed that for the next year, we have this very thoughtful strategic plan that has been developed and it will be in place until 2027. And that we wanted to focus our efforts on addressing those shared upon values and goals. So what we as the administrative team this year did over our administrative retreat in July is that we took the two themes of well-rounded learners and community cohesion within our strategic plan. We looked at the 4 pillars per each of those themes of student engagement, real-world experiences, and clear and targeted communications, and shared decision-making, knowing that each of those pillars have 3 initiatives, and there's numerous action items per initiative. We had our district building and departmental administrators identify 3 to 4 goals for their year, all coming to the understanding that one of those goals would be focused on student engagement, particularly around the MTSS process. So in general terms, we took a lot of time and thoughtful energy in our building departments and district-wide organizations, take a look at what we wanted to do and align those to the action items that come out of our strategic plan. So you'll notice that every single department will have one around utilizing the multi-tiered system of supports to increase differentiation. That's one that we agreed upon, that every building, even if you're in transportation, you'll work to support. That may look different in how you look to support it, but that's the time that our administrators took to delineate that. I am not going to read it to you in detail. This is a living document. I appreciate, when I was in the military, I had a civilian trainer from the Navy. And part of what we do in the military was document the periodic maintenance we did on any of our communication systems. And one time I came back and I was the team leader and I came back with a perfectly clean checklist, this paper. And the Navy, the civilian who was a former master chief in the Navy, lost his mind on me, started throwing things around and said, he didn't believe me that I did the work. And what he was trying to say is, it looks too clean on that piece of paper to have done any hard work on the system. So you may see, so what I did the next time I went out is I threw it in the dirt and I rumpled it up and I did it back. What I mean by that boring story to you is that this is a working document. It may not look pretty. We'll get it pretty by the end of the year, but it is actually, we're asking our administrators to go in there and update their timeline, their action items. So please, if you see, this will be on the website. If you see typos, we always strive to get rid of those, but this is a living, breathing document. So you can see the progress. So you may notice that we also have our transportation and our facilities department did not update their goals yet. We wanted them to focus on some pretty major initiatives they had over the summer, such as the elementary move and the transition to a new configuration in our transportation department. So they will be updating those as we have our monthly administrative team meetings. I'm not going to insult you by reading these to you, but I did want to yield to any questions, comments, concerns you may have about them or the process.
When are we bringing these back to review
Excellent.
on, like updates to how these are being tracked?
Excellent question. I have to pull up one document. There's multiple times. So what we will do as an administrative team is we'll take some time through many of our administrative team meetings to connect again and say, where's the progress? What do you see? What are some action items that have come out of it? But in general terms, we anticipate providing on December 17th an update towards progress, an update on our progress towards these goals. Additionally, we look to provide an update for you on June 18th. So 2 more times this year.
Do any of these, okay, go ahead, no, go ahead. You go.
I think this is wonderful. I especially like that we have every department covered, because I think that's so important, because every department, we didn't have every department. Every department makes up the Hendrick Hudson School District, and it's critical to make sure that we're all in line. I think that's fantastic. I want to note out, I think it's important to note that where are our student achievement and success? How does that tie into this? Our goals of having our students,
Yes, so that's always on the forefront.
yes,
And
where is that reflected?
so we took the belief that our strategic plan, particularly around its 2 pillars, one of those was student engagement. We have a belief that engagement has a direct correlation to student success and positive outcomes as a approach to our paradigm of education. So whenever you see us working on real world skills and student engagement, I would say that is where you see clear alignment to the belief that we want to improve student outcomes.
I just want to say, I was really happy to see this and that there's going to be work done on the MTSS process. That makes me extremely happy and real world experiences. So I can't wait to see how it develops and what it looks like at the end of June.
Well, thank you for that feedback. I have to say that the team of administrators really spent thoughtful time together to unpack the strategic plan. I think it was an exercise in learning more about the strategic plan, thinking about action items that they wanted to see and how they fit into the strategic plan so that we were cohesive and aligned and purposeful. But also on a tangible level, Dr. Ruller, Ms. Shookman, the principals, some of our teacher leaders, even dating back to the spring, have really spent time looking at how do we have clear understandings of what the MTSS process looks like, what are our clear protocols to put in place in September when we come back so that we can effectively make progress towards that goal. So thank you for their efforts. Or I want to thank them.
And then my last question is, how will this look and feel and live on our website? And so people can view it outside of Word docs.
So I will place a link on one of our pages. I haven't decided where yet. That's going to be for tomorrow. I don't know if it's going to the strategic plan or if we can put a section on my page for goals, but it will live independent from board docs, and it will be, so again, it will be a living document, probably a Google slide show as it is right now. That will look messy because you may even see updates coming in at 2 a.m. when we have our leaders think about when they did something towards the progress.
I do think it's really important. I mean, I think that this being a living document is actually very special, and for the community to be able to see it moving and progress is huge. So that's good. Thank you. Okay, we are on to our next subject, which is our superintendent's update.
Thank you, board, for your support of those district building and departmental goals. In terms of a superintendent report, as you may be aware of, we are nearing the centennial celebration of Hendrick Hudson High School. But we need your help, not just in volunteering for things that we decide on, but we want to begin preparations for this milestone. However, as a recovering social studies teacher, and I know I'm joined at the table by others, we're big on dates. And we have a question about dates. There seems to be some confusion on when the actual centennial should be. So we have evidence that we need to dig deeper into. Beth Gruber and I have frequent touch points, and she's doing a lot of the prep work on looking at what we can do for the centennial. As she was doing some of that work, she's diving into newspapers from that time period. But if any of our community is listening and can help correctly identify the date that is associated with the opening of this high school, we'd be greatly appreciative of that. And here's why. We took a look at yearbooks, and the oldest yearbook that we have here in the high school is from 1927. And in that yearbook, we found a quote that said from the senior class, quote, "We were the last class to hold graduation exercises in the old church and the first to graduate under the name of Hendrick Hudson High School." It was a class of 1927. Other evidence in the 1928 yearbook states, "On the 25th day of April, 1928, the new high school that became so dear to us opened its doors to us. The new high school was dedicated on April 26, 1928. It was attended by a large audience." So we're going to do some digging on our own. And just as I was walking by here, I saw a cornerstone that said 1974 on the high school, but I don't.
That's just a extension.
Okay, so if anybody is listening of the 19 people that were there before, if you have anybody who might not, there's 12. And you can help us out. We welcome your input, and it's a great thing as a history teacher to try to do some of this work. So we want to get the date right. We know that some people have said it's 1926, but we'll continue to do that. So to be continued, but if you're able to help, please help us out. On a more serious note, I want to provide a brief update on our air quality monitoring of the Buchanan-Burbank Elementary School. So we recently received a report from Langen Engineering, Environmental Survey and Landscaping Architecture and Geology firm, which I'll just refer to as Langen here and out. They completed, as you know, there's two components to this in order for us to access the $500,000 grant that the New York State Public Service Commission was going to give us to continue to monitor the air quality around the Buchanan-Burbank Elementary School as the heavy demolition occurred from the decommissioning of the former Indian Point power plant. The first step in that was to conduct a baseline survey. So we recently received the results from that survey where Langen tested areas of the roof, carpet sample, soil samples, and just general baseline environmental testing. It's a very detailed report that, as I read through it, I love technical reports and technical manuals. I need a little help understanding it. What we do know is that at this point in time, there is nothing out of normal ranges that impacts the health and safety of our students. But we want to understand that better, and we want our community to be able to understand that better. So we're reaching out, and Langen is going to be sending us individuals to help us communicate the specifics of that survey to our community. Additionally, we received the $500,000 from NYSERDA, which Jill helped me out with the New York State NYSERDA.
Oh, yeah, no.
Sorry. CERTA is New York State Energy and Research Development Authority. So that is the
Right.
administrative arm where we were able to receive that $500,000 in grant funding to purchase the monitoring equipment and the monitoring subscription or the license to have somebody assist us, a company assist us in monitoring that.
I hate to interrupt you.
Interrupt, because there's a lot.
When heavy demo was delayed,
Yes.
do we know when yet?
Did you like me to go into why it was delayed?
No, I know I think it's not the why isn't the part, it's because we don't wanna, I know that there was a part of this not starting with this too early,
Mhm.
because they're not doing any demolition right now.
Yes.
The demolition is not set to start for 3 to 5 years is what I heard, but it may even be longer than
Maybe
that.
longer, yes. So that is, yes, that was a concern of ours. So we've had frequent meetings with both the vendor of the monitoring equipment and the vendor who would be providing the monitoring service. And at our last meeting, we were very adamant in that dichotomy that we had to address, because we didn't want to purchase the monitoring service and then not have any demolition work. Oh, by the way, New York State Public Service Commission said the specific legislation to allow us to access that was for specifically during heavy demolition. So that was our stance, but the vendor had said, listen, this technology is pretty sensitive and we don't want the price to change of the equipment as years go on. So we don't want you to be without the full funding to purchase the equipment. So we thought it'd be better to purchase the equipment at the price that's fully covered by the grant and the monitoring. The vendors got together and they agreed to give us, I believe, 7 years of monitoring at no additional, total of 7 years of monitoring at no additional cost of what was initially on the scope. And their logic behind that was, we can install it, get it up and running, and train our staff and the processes on what we would do if there was a need to alert. And they said it's better to do that when they're not actually going through the demolition. An example of something we need to be trained on. I can't go into the specifics of the equipment, but somebody who may have had a recent radiological medical event, such as an MRI, the equipment might be sensitive enough to detect that
Oh.
if they're close to it. So you have to be trained and you have to have clear communication between the monitoring company and the people on site here at the district who would be communicating. So they'd like to work those kinks out before we go live.
Okay,
as
so
well.
we could be a year out to installing, working on it, training, and
Yes.
then we'll still have 7 years from that, which gets us to about 8 years without an additional cost.
Correct.
Okay.
And I've also established the moments.
Correct.
Yeah.
So to be continued, we have a couple of things on the horizon. We're going to procure the equipment. My thanks to Jill, to Anthony Merlini and his team on doing the prep work and the procurement work. Also, we will be updating the statewide decommissioning board in the December meeting. Tune into that meeting to hear that excitement. And also, we want to make sure that we communicate to our public the results in plain language for our community to understand the results of that environmental survey.
We have that.
We have that, but we don't have the plain language.
Okay.
Anthony, Jill, and I want to meet with Langen, go through, hear what it actually means. If I can explain it and it's Air Force proof, I can then explain it to the community.
Okay.
They put it in writing.
Maybe we want to have a open meeting to have people come and have a conversation when that's all done. I think it's important to the community, so maybe we can do that. Just a suggestion.
It would use a lot of nerves.
Yeah.
So that is the update on the air quality monitoring at BV. I will call it HOCO because I'm probably cool enough to do so, but no. Okay, all right. I'd like to see if WISDO will support the resolution. I don't know if we need to take a vote on that, but I can see consensus. I don't know what that means.
Stop like y'all are. Yeah, like.
I don't even know what that means. In terms of homecoming, I'm glad that Rebecca Quigley stole some of my thunder on the dates, but I'm pleased to provide an update on this wonderful event, which promises to be the highlight of the school year for many of our students. As homecoming is not only a time for our students to come together in celebration, but it also serves as a wonderful opportunity for alumni, families, and community members to connect and show their pride for Hendrick Hudson. We have a number of events. I count, that we start off on Friday, with the color run last Saturday, of course. We have pep rallies, at BV on Friday at 9:25 a.m. Furnace Woods at 10 a.m. and FGL at 10:45. I don't believe these are open to the public, but your students are encouraged to wear white and blue. We'll talk about Sailor Pride, but also have a visit from our cheerleading squads to help instill that in the elementary schools. Our high school pep rally will be in the high school gym at 1 p.m. for our students. We do have the Athletic Hall of Fame induction in the high school gym at 5 p.m. and then we take on Irvington at 6 p.m. at our turf. And then the homecoming dance will be at 7 p.m. in the gym. And then, of course, the pancake breakfast at 10 a.m. in the cafeteria.
I'm gonna add two things.
Okay.
One is that the homecoming dance is only for Hendrick Hudson High School students. And it's $5 and we have people selling during lunch and we will have kids at the door. We have a list of kids, but the homecoming pancake breakfast, not only come, but we need volunteers. So check the PTA page for that because they're looking for volunteers and student volunteers. So I know a lot of people look for student volunteer opportunities and that is one of them. So
Yes.
the 9 people watching. Share with your friends.
In terms of other important events outside of homecoming, tomorrow night is our Furnace Wood Meets the Teacher Night at 6 p.m. As well as it's Buchanan or Plank Meet the Teacher Night as well. And then we have Senior College Information Night at Hendrick Hudson High School in the school auditorium at 6:30 p.m. Very busy night on Thursdays. In keeping with one of our strategic plan themes of lifelong learners, I would like to extend a heartfelt congratulations to Trustee Corey Budin for completing the Westchester Putnam School Boards Association governance training. Her dedication to professional development exemplifies our district's core value of lifelong learning and demonstrating that growth and education are continuous journeys. And
Lauren finished hers too. but-
Okay, I didn't go in person though, but I did online.
okay, so
But it
if
has
you
to be
if you send your certificate, then
Yeah.
okay.
I glued it and emailed him my certificate, right, and a picture of our.
Oh, you said, yeah,
Yeah.
Carmen has mine.
Okay,
It's
well,
okay.
thank you both for
Yeah.
So thank you both for serving as a model of leadership and placing an emphasis on lifelong learning for our students. So it really means a lot to model that for them. So thank you both.
We're excited to have trained board members and within a couple of months of getting on board, because you get a year to do it, so that's even more exciting.
There are no questions requiring from the last board meeting requiring follow-up at this time. I'm supposed to tell Stefania and Michael to go to bed. And with that, I will ask Dr. Stephen Garcia to provide an update on efforts in the realm of human resources and leadership development.
Thank you. I'm just curious, when you have your, I guess as children go to bed, do they actually go to bed? Have you gotten reports from your wife?
I assume they're not going to bed at this time.
So I'll just tell your wife to encourage them to go to bed.
Yes, sleep is important.
Great. I'll make my comments brief this evening. So as I continue to learn more about the HR systems in the district, one thing we're focusing on in the past few weeks was about teacher observation processes and the system that's in place. And by contract, we have to notify teachers by December 15th of their assigned lead evaluator. So I spent some time understanding what was in place beforehand. We have a document that basically identifies the two evaluators. Sometimes it's only one evaluator, principally we do two of them. Every single administrator is involved with evaluating faculty and also the staff. So that process in terms of the cycle of the beginning of going to the classrooms begins, I believe, on October 1st. Also, we've been working closely with the HHCA and the DAA on making sure that the new APPR plan for 3012D is in place. So
We just said a lot of acronyms.
yeah, so the APPR is the annual professional performance review. HHCA is the Education Association Teachers Unit, right? And the DAA is the Administrators Unit.
Thank you.
And I'm proud of myself even getting that right. So we have been working with them collaboratively to make sure that we're gonna submit that new plan in place. And maybe someday in the future, when the state gives us some guidance about the next APPR iteration, which is the new law, but we apparently have 8 years to implement that. So we'll be at that point soon, sometime in the near future. So also been examining how all the other staff are going to be evaluated, right? Members of teaching assistants unit, the civil service group as well, to ensure that this approach is done with fidelity throughout the district. So learning more about that and making sure it's in place. And just a reminder, at the next board meeting, October 9th, we'll be recognizing all our tenure recipients. They were granted tenure back in May, but this is the time that the district has recognized them. 11 teachers, 3 teaching assistants, and 1 administrator, to my count. Hopefully they will all be here to be recognized, and we plan on doing this now, everything in the spring, moving forward, just to let you know. That's my report for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Garcia. Before I move on, I do just want to point out, Dr. Garcia highlighted this, but just tangible, what that means, that every administrator takes part in our observation process. So that includes our director of guidance, our assistant principals, our assistant directors. So they are all hands on, our athletic directors. So one of the most important things we can do after health and safety and hiring and supporting good staff is that supporting staff. And that means by providing them with feedback on their performance. So they continue to do things that they're doing well and improve in areas that we see areas for growth. But thank you for that update.
Yeah, and just one quick thing is that there is a New York State requirement for annual training, right, to be lead evaluators of teachers and also lead evaluators of principals. That can come in various shapes and sizes, and this district has also having BOCES really actually run that training. That's not a requirement, just to let you know. So I've also conducted training in-house in previous districts, and that's how many districts actually do it now, where there's more of a collaborative effort inside the district by the administrators to be trained as lead evaluators. So you'll see that come in play. There will be a resolution at some point in the fall, later in the fall, where we certify that all of our administrators have been trained as lead evaluators of teachers and also of principals.
Thank you, Dr. Garcia. I'll now ask our interim assistant superintendent for business, Ms. Jill Figueroa, to provide updates from her areas.
I'm just laughing. I find it interesting that the APPR iteration, they let you take 8 years to implement it, but they expect us to have all electric buses in over 600 school districts in 10 years. So that's just stuck in my mind. It's stuck there. Anyway, I wanted to say that, really over the last 2 weeks or over the last 2 months, we've been really working hard to train, cross-train and restructure the business office. It's going to take quite a while to get all that done, but we have welcomed our new treasurer on September 16th. And I know you guys all met him. He was here for the board meeting. And our new senior payroll clerk started this past Monday. So she is learning everything she can in the few days that our current payroll clerk has left, which is she'll be leaving us this Friday. So, they're both hit the ground running, and we hope to make some good progress over the next month or so, and then have a lot of good people in place to make some changes that we need to make. So that's what we're working on. There's a lot of other things going on in the business office, but you've been hearing about a lot of them while we're at the meeting as well, so.
Thank you, Ms. Figueroa. I'll now ask Dr. Roller to provide updates from the curriculum instruction areas.
Thanks, Jill. Good evening. So as you all know, we're in the midst of benchmarking for the fall. That window closes October 23rd, and after that closes, we will backpack the iReady ELA and math reports for the students in, well, not K, first grade through 8. Kindergarten doesn't take it until January. There were a couple of questions about the MTSS work. There is space on site for this to be posted. It is under construction because, as you heard earlier, we've spent a considerable amount of time, K-12, since last May. I think we had the consultants come in, revamping the plan, really trying to get us all focused in the same direction. What are the processes? What are the criteria? How do we make those evaluations? What does an intervention look like in the classroom, et cetera, et cetera. So I shared the plan with the administrators just to make sure that they were comfortable with what it said. If they had any edits or updates, we expect that back hopefully by Friday. And then that will get posted to the curriculum website. In addition to that, on the curriculum website are the year at a glance documents for all of our courses. We do not do the year at a glance documents for electives. But one of the jobs that our instructional leaders have every year is to review the year at a glance and let me know whether or not there needs to be a change. There are considerable changes to the elementary division this year, as we have a new ELA program, and we also have some movement in some of the math units. So they had a department meeting the other day. Some of the ILs have already started to email me whether or not there are changes. Hopefully those will get done by mid-October, and all of that will be up to date. What else do we have here? We are working on developing a literacy night at the elementary level to talk to parents about our new inter-reading ELA program, K-5. Have a couple of more conversations with teachers to figure out dates and times, and then we will share that and make sure everyone knows when that is.
Thank you, Dr. Roller. Before I move on with our updates, I do want to take a moment. Ms. Figueroa and Dr. Garcia mentioned this briefly, but to really highlight it. We do have some staff members who have stayed on beyond who joined us after their retirement date to help us through some transitions. While we celebrated them at the retirement party before, they have continued on and have done great work for our district and helping us start the year off. So Debbie DeCiccio, who serves as a payroll manager and district treasurer all in one, will be leaving us by the end of the month. And then also Miss Elizabeth Gilio, who serves as our supervisor of transportation, will also be leaving us. So we thank them for their continued service and we wish them well in the next journey of their life. And they're always Hen Hut Sailor family. So I will also now turn it over to Miss Vinitha Joy for updates from the areas of technology and innovation.
All right, thank you. So first thing I do want to mention is this week has been pretty hard with phishing emails. So we had 2 major phishing emails that affected most of our faculty. Our guys had been going around, if they did click on it or enter any information, been going around scanning the systems, changing their passwords, trying to set up their MFA. We did have a discussion with our teachers union again about the importance of setting up MFA to mitigate some of this phishing attacks that are coming our way. The other thing is our new IT instructional technology facilitator. I call it ITF, if you hear me saying that again. She's been working really hard. As you know, I mentioned before, Furnace Woods and FGL is on a laptop model. Our teachers are learning how to use that model. 3 of the areas that we identified is how do they use the panel when students are working on it, but they want to work with the student on a laptop in the back. So she had done like 3 different options. Option 1 being, how do you use the laptop the same old way of the desktop? The other one is, how do you use the monitor so you have privacy when 2 students are working on something, you can check your email on the other monitor, so there's privacy. The 3rd option is, how do you have your panel up where the students are working on it and the student teachers working in small groups in the back of the classroom or somewhere in the classroom using their laptop. So she's been really tremendous help for us because she's been going through and really teaching teachers how to, even though we had training on these areas, really teaching teachers how to use technology in the classroom. She also attended the ENL family support group. So we had the ENL teachers Monday. I don't know my days anymore. So Monday on, supporting our family, there was a good turnout. I had to leave a little early, but I know that she had about, at least about like 40 some parents when I was leaving. She did a session on Microsoft Translator, how they can use that, how to use Parent Square. At the end of that meeting, she had texted me and said a lot of parents had questions about Parent Portal, and she's already looking into ways to how to accommodate that. The information that she shared is actually on our technology website under helpful information. So anybody who wants to access that, it's there. And the last thing is we started, you probably saw on my 24-25 guidance document that towards the MTSS, we do have a data platform called Linkit. Michelle, our technology coach. Our math coach has been doing a lot of work over the summer about converting some of the Eureka math assessments into a digital platform. So she's actually doing a really good job working with teachers and getting that done. We have training for administrators set up on October 25th and K-5 teachers on October 28th.
Thank you, Ms. Joy. Thank you. I do, before closing and thanking our cabinet colleagues, I do want to provide Ms. Shookman, our Executive Director for Pupil Personnel Services, could not be here. She had a conflict arise and had to step out. She has sent home information for our K through 12 SEL social emotional learning screener. This was a tool selected by a diverse stakeholder group to include parents, practitioners, teachers, administrators, on a tool that could help us establish baseline and provide additional supports if needed for students who may be who may need support social emotion or emotionally. It is called the BEMIS-2, which stands for the Behavior Intervention Monitoring Assessment System. It is a research-based system that is in use across a number of districts. There is no specific curriculum associated with the BEMIS as it is a screener. However, great conversations have come up as, what is this? What is it associated with? So Ms. Shookman is working on providing an overview of what the BEMIS is, including the questions asked, and then also information related to any scope and sequence for our second step program or any frameworks that we use to support our students in a social and emotional capacity. So that is coming to our website, should be able to answer questions. And there is an opt-out with the BEMIS, and the instructions on how to do that are in Ms. Shookman's email that went out, and Ms. Joy has something to add to that.
I was gonna say it's already updated on our guidance website.
Great, so on this, thank you very much for your attention to that. So if you do navigate to our guidance website, you'll see information on the BEMIS screener and our social emotional learning frameworks. I do want to thank Margaret, Jill, Anita, Lisa, and Steve for their thoughtful and concise updates. It's a lot of work. It's a balance between doing the work of the district and providing updates. And I think you're doing a great job updating the board on some of the very small information of the larger work you're doing within your capacity. So thank you very much for that. And at that time, the cabinet and superintendent reports are concluded.
Which moves us to policy.
Ready? Jeremy, ready?
All right.
All right. Okay. Am I ready? The question is this. Yeah. I think we should.
So at this time, thank you, Cabinet, for your diligent support. Please go home and get some rest.
Thanks, guys. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good night.
Steve, don't take your time.
I'm ready. I will, that, you're up.
Thank you for it.
Here we go. Bye, guys. Have a good night. You ready?
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Great. So we are going to start with the second reading of policy 1740, relationship with non-public schools. In
Motion
recognition,
to waive the reading?
again,
Second.
all in favor?
All in favor.
This is a second reading. Does anyone have any comments? This was the textbook. Does anyone have any comments on this one?
You know, the thing in the, I'll stick down. It's to try to believe this.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I needed some gum. I'll have one.
Two. Anyone have any comments? Questions?
Which one are we?
1740 relationship with non-public schools.
No. Motion to accept policy 1740, relationship with non-public schools. Second. All in favor?
This is the second reading of policy 1741 homeschool students. The Board of Education
Motion
shall,
to waive the reading.
Second,
all in favor?
anyone have any questions or comments?
We made a couple of changes to this, Carmen. This is,
Yes.
did we?
We took out those words that said by a parent. There was the one.
I just want to make sure that was done. Okay.
No,
Where was that by a parent?
participation in extracurricular activities. By their parents. Needs to be removed.
Students instructed at home by their parents. It just needs to say students instructed at home are not permitted.
We crossed that out.
Okay, those 3 words. Should you need to make a motion to approve it without those 3 words?
Motion to approve, policy 1741 homeschooled students without the words by their parents.
Second,
All in favor? This is the second reading of board governance and goals. The Board of Education as a lead,
Motion to waive the reading.
Second,
all in favor? I don't think we had any changes to this as it stated, correct? Okay, I have a motion.
motion to accept policy 2000 board governance and goals.
Second.
All in favor?
Second reading, revision, policy 2230, appointed board officials. District Clerk, the Board of Education
Motion
shall,
to waive the reading.
Second,
all in favor? Lauren, is this the one that had the weird formatting?
no,
It's not this one? Can you
No.
remind me when we get to that one?
yeah,
I think she fixed it too. She moved district treasurer and she underlined it.
That was the one that was, I think that was it,
That
wasn't
was
it?
it, yep.
Okay,
okay,
okay.
Motion to accept policy 2230 appointed board officials.
Second.
All in favor?
This is the one that we were okay with. It's the next one we wanna, right?
1511,
It wasn't this one.
And the other one's our first reading anyway.
No. Okay.
The rest of it's our first readings.
Okay, first reading, policy 1000, community relations goals. I'd like to read the first paragraph of this one out loud, okay?
Yep.
The Board of Education strives to conduct district affairs by way of a continuing open dialogue between the community and the schools. Given district residents' high level of interest in the education of children, the board wishes to maintain its high level of sensitivity to the needs and desires of the community and to act expeditiously to meet changing needs and conditions.
Motion to waive the reading.
Second,
All in favor?
anybody have any questions or comments?
This is sort of one of our goals. When we were in policy discussing this like basically is our goal. When we get to talking about engagement and relations and being public facing and hearing from the public and all of the things that we talk a lot about, this is the policy that explains how we would do that in plain terms. So
did you guys just write this?
basically, we revised it with their recommendations. This is a brand new policy. So, yeah,
You still have to read it again.
we have to
Yes.
read it one more time, but I want to just give some context about, we did not have this policy. And this is, I mean, what I'm finding in this process of all of this, even doing the strategic plan. The things that come up, the things that seem to come up again and again and again are things that the district did not have a policy on to begin with. And as we are moving through this process, I feel like we're closing those holes here, and this is one of those ways to do that, so. This is the first reading, we can bring that one back.
I also just wanted to give a huge kudos to Carmen. Because as we're going through these, you're gonna notice sometimes there's like cross-referencing. And so the question came up, what happens if like we put a new policy that's replacing something, and she's going back and making sure everything is properly cross-referenced. Even if we established it earlier on, so thank you, because I know that's a lot of work of. Some of them really like cross-reference quite a few times.
So I was stuck on that. I didn't understand it. So thanks for calling that out, and Carmen's done a great job.
Thank you, Carmen.
Yeah.
I
I know, but you're like, the fact that you're going back, like every time we redo a new policy, there's like 10 more that could be impacted, and she's been doing this on her own.
To make sure we're
thank you,
covered.
yeah.
I'm
So like
learning
an
too,
example-
so it's all good.
So I
I'm
think a great
learning through
example
this
of that-
process as well, so.
Yeah, there was an example, like one that we just did, where it was like, we were cross-referencing the cross-reference, the cross-reference.
And the question is, what happens when that, like, how does the policy that's being referenced know that there is a policy that followed its creation, that's referencing it, so that when you make an update to one, that it doesn't have a negative or unintended, a negative impact or unintended consequence on the other, so. It was, I was like, what are we gonna do about that? And Carmen's like, oh, don't worry, I already have that done. Every time there's a link, I make a backlink on the other side, it's flags.
Yeah, thank you. Mhm.
As hard as we're working on this policy, by the way, I don't think it comes close to the amount of work Carmen has to do.
Yeah.
Like, we're conceptualizing and talking and changing, but Carmen's the one who makes it all happen, right? We walk out of the meeting and we're done with policy, and one more thing she has to do is now just make sure all of that's put together. So,
And she's taking notes while we're spitballing ideas.
I mean, I don't think it's very normal to have this much policy to review on a consistent and ongoing basis because of the undertaking that we've committed to doing. So on top of all of the other work that you do, Carmen, thank you, because I know it's a lot.
Thank you.
And don't worry, thank you. You get a little shout out for the.
Yeah, thank you, Carmen.
But it's not as much as Carmen.
He's like, I'm in there.
So this is a first reading on a revision of policy 1511.
Wait, did we finish?
Yeah,
We're
so it
bringing
had to
that-
come back.
We'll bring that one back. This is, district communication of material to students and families, 1511. It's up for revision. This one hasn't been revised since 2013. The district has an obligation to
Motion
protect,
to waive the reading.
Second.
all in favor? No. Anyone have any questions or comments?
Yeah, I just had a quick question on this one. Just wondering what the general consensus is on the social media section. For like teachers are strongly discouraged from engaging with parents, community members, through their personal social media sites. So I guess my question is, what is the general thought about school sanctioned in like a Instagram that's a HHCSD music department, I'm making this up completely, so nobody get upset. That, you know, the music teacher of whoever it is tells the kids to follow and they interact.
They can follow.
Right.
That wouldn't be considered
Not
personal.
Correct.
And I would agree, like, maybe posting, but not necessarily engaging.
So you would have students
They have
not be
to
allowed
email.
to comment? or-
No, they can
I'm not saying
comment.
comment, but then like messaging, like I wouldn't suggest that aspect of it.
The reason I'm asking is I just feel like it's a good way to sort of, you know, that's where our kids are.
I would
and
keep
that's
it
what-
public,
Yeah, absolutely.
not to the private part.
We
I
have
just
to
wanted to
change the
clarify, 'cause
wording.
it does say private, so I wanted to know if that,
Social media contact.
This says personal social, this
Right.
doesn't address professional sites.
it doesn't, that's why I'm asking. I was just wondering if, like, is it a bad idea to even let that
Don't
happen
we have
or?
a policy that controls that?
Fraternization policy is
Mhm.
more specific to the language around how they communicate with
Yeah.
students. And we do
It
have,
has to be approved.
Yes.
Site.
we do have approved. Like for athletics, we did a couple things last year. Mike, added, we made it just, and when you first, one of the first things you did, I think, when we started here. With the fraternization policy was we actually started with the athletic department, our coaches weren't getting email addresses, now they all have email addresses, so that they have to communicate with the kid and parents through that. That was step one, and then step two.
None of our kids, I feel like the kids don't use that.
I know, but it also has to be something that we like established, like it has to be something that is vetted through like beneath his team.
100%.
So
So
that
like,
would have to
for
go through
instance,
that.
when we were doing the new Peter Pan musical last year, some of the kids were like, can we do a TikTok account? And have videos of the kids, and they asked the director, you know, and she said, I need to get permission. We had too much other stuff to do, so it never happened, but
Cause
it would be something that would get people excited, and that's where they all are on TikTok.
well, at the high school. A lot at the high school, a lot of the kids actually manage a lot of these accounts.
Yeah.
They're on their own or they're coaches.
My
I have
concern
not seen a
is,
Hen Hud TikTok
yeah, I was
account.
gonna say, my concern with some of those is then where do you draw the line?
Yeah.
Right? What, again, if it, like, what's acceptable?
Right.
So like putting something like that in a policy could negate our fraternization policy. And then we could be leaving ourselves
Right.
open for,
But by not having it in there, then those things.
but
are
we have a
fine.
fraternization policy that tells them what they can and can't use.
So let's reference that here, Carmen.
So I have it right here. It's policy number 9130. And this was adopted on November 29th of 2003. Staff members shall not have any social media connections with students on social media platforms, including but not limited to Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Exceptions to this prohibition may be made when a staff member and the student have a familial relationship.
Family.
I think if your family,
Okay.
So what I would say is if we wanted to tease that out, we probably should have a larger social media policy, which some districts have. Because that talks about personal and professional delineation
Yeah.
between. Here's what I would say, from a guy wearing the tie standpoint, if we do have a professional social media use of a TikTok or another hurdle is that teacher who is creating that is entering into a contract on behalf of
Yeah.
the school district, which they do not have the authorization to do
Right.
so. So we as school district would have to vet those terms of service,
Yeah.
accept it, and also have our attorneys weigh in on
Yeah.
it too. So, and we'd have to ensure the privacy of students. So what I think we want to always find ways to engage students. What I found as a recovery director of technology is that wherever adults are, kids aren't. Right?
Mhm.
So they're always going to find the next one. I think we want our student safety to be of the utmost importance. So I think where my approach to the fraternization feedback is that we always want to be able to protect our staff against any situation that may come up where there's an accusation
Protecting
against them. And also protect our students too at the same time.
Yeah.
And
Makes
if we can't monitor it, we can't ensure that.
Yeah. I agree.
I do think that we should reference the fraternization policy here because these sort of
Are related.
are related.
Yeah.
So it's, so Carmen, maybe we can, Carmen.
We have to write, let me ask you that. Linking the fraternization policy, what language do we have to use and where are we gonna place it?
It's the social media piece that references, because it's social media.
Where do we have to write, we can't just link the policy, we need to like write something that indicates, right, that.
So maybe just a
cross
it's a reference, a cross reference.
Okay.
That way, when one changes, you know you have to change. You should be looking at them together. I'm actually, think we need to read this and compare it to the fraternization policy. This one is saying, this one has looser language because it's talking about staff and parents. So teachers and staff are strongly discouraged from engaging with parents or community members in an official capacity. It doesn't really talk, that's different. And then the kids part is the first part.
when here it says that it's limited
Yes,
to
limited
officials. That tells us we can only use those ones that
Email.
were sanctioned.
Or the one we use for sports, which is, I don't want to name the wrong one. We use one for sports, not two. Okay, so we're bringing this one back.
We also have policy 9115, which is cross-referenced in 9130, which is just because this goes into why we don't have those existing accounts. Staff use of personal electronic communication devices.
Yeah.
Which says we should not, staff are not allowed to use those in front of students.
Like their cell phones.
We have not updated that one yet. We're getting,
Correct.
we're getting,
Number is that?
9115.
Yeah, what?
it's one of the ones, if we have talked about it, because it's really antiquated.
It says
language
that staff can't use the cell phone
in front of students.
During school hours, district employees may utilize electronic communication devices only when they are not assigned to work with or supervise students. At other times, the devices should be powered off. So that's existing policy language.
We actually discussed it in policy, decided not to change it yet because it's a little antiquated, but it covers everything right now.
Wow.
Don't look at me, I don't use my phone. That's, guys, no.
Okay, we are at,
I don't have any services.
this is policy 2100, school board legal status. The Board of Education is a 7-member.
Second.
All in favor?
A lot of these were just, expanding what we had and just making it, like, it's stuff that we all, I feel like we all know,
More, making it more clear.
just making it very clear and that there's no gray. Right? It's, these are the rules, this is who we are. So not really anything like interesting. I mean, this is interesting, but you know.
Nothing controversial.
Yeah, it's also all, I think every one of them is tied to ed law.
Yeah,
Okay, so we'll bring that one back. First reading policy 2120, school board elections. Elections of members,
Motion to waive the reading.
second.
all in favor?
Did anything change?
No, this one, I think, if I don't have my notes with me, but I feel like this one's gonna retire or something else down the line.
Yes, this one is gonna retire. some
Like
of
it's
it.
gonna replace something else and retire something, and I wrote it on our notes, but I forget those numbers offhand.
I was just wondering why the last three didn't have, but
Because it's new.
Yeah, it's new and it's gonna take the place of something else.
The next meeting.
So then we'll retire those.
Yes.
Okay.
I have notes, but not here.
Has a question on 2120.
These are brand new, these are.
No, I did say, but they're gonna retire something else. I think like a policy we had already somewhere.
Yeah, there's one of them.
Yeah, I remember one of them. I wrote it down.
No, I put it in the notes here. We're getting to it. We haven't done it yet. It might be 21.
2160 ethics. School district officer code of ethics.
When we get to filling board vacancies,
Oh.
that's where the, I'm talking about.
I have a question, but I don't know if it is relevant to point two. 2120 or point one or point two. So you guys can let me know. How you wanna.
What's the question?
So I have two suggestions, on the theme of voting. I know the first,
So
the first one's voting, yeah.
so we should, oh, that's for the point two,
Okay, so that's point two.
right?
Correct, and then I think the other one is 2120, it's about the process of the ballots, the one ballot election,
This is 2120.
So I think that's,
plain 2120.
2121, 2122. Got it, okay. So we'll bring this one back. This is 2120.1 candidates in campaigning. Nominations, candidates for the office of member of the Board of Education are nominated by petition.
yeah, I think that's all part point two.
Such petition must be directed to the district clerk.
Motion to waive the reading of 2120.1.
Second,
Second.
all in favor? This outlines the process of
So I think it's the point two and.
campaigning and how to become a candidate.
Yes.
Okay, this is also a new one, right, Carmen?
Anytime you see like first reading, you don't have
Yeah, with
it.
no revision. Yes, with no, it says, because it says first reading revision, first reading, no revision. This is brand new. This isn't the next one. But we're gonna bring that one back to the next meeting.
Oh, so we don't talk about it now.
We can.
That one, you want to talk about that one or the other one?
Well, one thing is about, the ballots, the ballot positions, that one is about.
I think that's, I think both of those is point two.
Okay, sorry. That ends.
No, you're good.
Okay, so we're gonna move on. We'll bring back 2120. 2120.1, 2120.2 is voting procedures. A person shall be entitled,
Motion to waive the reading.
Second, In favor? Right, so now this is where you had your.
Right, so, one of the things I did a little bit of a deep dive in was, about, I know we talked about voter turnout and wanting to sort of try to increase that over years. It used to be a lot more, and then it's gone down. So I think that, there's a resolution that was passed by New York State last year that introduces early mail ballots to New York State, allows early mail ballots, which is the same as an absentee ballot, except you don't have to give a reason for not being there. Like the absentee ballot, you have to say like, I'm gonna be away on business, or I'm gonna be overseas in the military. And apparently absentee ballots are gonna be replaced by early voting, over the next however many years soon.
In New York,
Nationwide, but in
nationwide,
New York, it was passed last year. So since we're revising the policy, I thought if you wanted to add in just early mail voting, I sent you
we have to apply for it first.
No, it's already,
Yeah.
we were doing it last year too, early voting.
Oh, you had an early voting last year too?
Application, it's the same
It's
process.
the same process. I emailed you
Yeah.
the.
So you just want it in
application.
here?
I just wanted to ask Elizabeth, our person, why they didn't include it, because they're.
Yeah, that's a
this
good
from
question.
them. Yeah, so I'd be curious why because they knew about that came into play last year, so I'm just be curious why they didn't put this in here.
Did we get a lot of early ballots last year?
One.
You got,
People don't know. I mean.
you got more
if
absentee.
If they don't think they need a reason, maybe there'll be a lot
more
more people. Maybe you get more participation.
you guess it's just gonna take longer at night to count them all, because you can't count till 9 o'clock. I mean, that's just the way the cookie
I
crumbles.
just know a lot of people are always like, I'm working and I can't get there, so it's like. if
Yeah,
they
anything we
just-
can do to make the
Yeah.
day bigger, like that's how the national elections are going, so.
I don't disagree. I mean, they have from 6 until 9 PM to vote. It's the entire day. I mean, I know that, like, my son's a resident in New York, but doesn't live here, so he has to get a ballot. He did last year.
I mean, I've missed being able to vote if I have to be in the city early and I'm there, I come home late. And I'm like, oh, I'm so tired, but if I was able to do it on another day before that, like.
Well, you just have to remember, that's the thing, you have to remember to do it.
Yeah.
So it's the same as an absentee.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's something we can encourage people to.
Well, let's find out Nisba's recommendation, why it's not in here, and what the reason, if they're letting it be a local decision.
We can put the language, I have the language about the early voting, I can put it in, I just want to find out from NISBA because.
Why they didn't.
Why they
include
didn't
it,
put it
yeah.
in here.
But it's more important, I guess not more importantly, but to your point, Carmen, it's already available. We don't need the language written here because we didn't have the language last year and it was possible.
I just don't know why.
But I'm saying
NISBA
somebody did it last year.
It's,
Yeah.
well,
For
yeah,
one
yeah, it was
person.
available last year. And, I publicized it, it was out in our avenues of communication about early voting. I just wondering why NISBA, I just want to ask that question
Yeah.
with them, why they didn't include it, but I can add the language about it, you know.
Okay,
I
and
bet you
then,
people don't even understand the difference between that. I didn't either until I read more about it, so.
and then you have to verify every one of those people.
Yes.
All right, so voting, there's a formatting issue. This is the one you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Under the word voting here, under B and then challenges,
The word voting should move
bold
down,
and move down one.
bold and move down one.
Okay, I see it.
Or you have a second question?
Yeah.
I just had another.
Mhm.
So a lot of, I've heard from several people and I looked into it and, you know, we're in the season of elections and I'm sort of an elections nerd, so. The ballot, the way we decide the order of who's on the ballot, you know, we did that. Drawing and I guess in your office. People have suggested that they would like that to be public facing, the drawing of the ballot order.
Who has? Who's
Um,
people?
people in the community.
Who? I mean, not name, but who? I've never heard this before, so it's new to me. Who are?
I mean, I'm not
people?
gonna like, yeah, you can list
You
people.
could-
but-
Honestly, I
No,
don't
we
like
can't do
that.
the who are people because if
We
we
gotta
do the-
write in.
You could just say constituents.
No, it's not
You
even
can't
enough,
bring it
right?
up like
If
that.
people would like, so here's how I feel about this, could we all do this, this is not just a one, we all do it. The community has to let us know that this is important to them, it can't be someone coming to me to say, I feel, because that's one person, right, so.
Yeah, but if it comes up in
I mean,
conversation, with people that are friends of yours or other parents, or then I'm not gonna every time go like send.
Tell them,
everyone an
they
email.
have to send us an email that if they feel that's important, then the whole board
But
knows.
she's saying that it's important to her to
If
discuss
it's
it
important,
right
that's
now.
fine, then that's fine, it's important to
I
you.
don't think she's bringing it
Well,
up.
I wouldn't
just
have
to-
brought it up if
Just
I
because
didn't agree with it.
she doesn't have a point of view on it, so I think we should let her. state her
Totally,
point
But
as
it's
to
the
what-
research says that people overwhelmingly vote for position 1 and 2 on the ballot.
Right, yes, that's a separate, but that's, so you're saying there's two different things you're saying. First thing you're saying is that when we
Yeah.
pick out of the hat for the names of the order,
Correct.
when that you want that.
Being on a live stream or something.
Well, do we have to have that in the policy?
I don't know.
Carmen,
It would be a cost to us, because Greg would have to live stream and.
yes, we'd have to have someone come in to
as
do,
well.
we'd have to have someone come in to do that.
Can I just say, how many people are watching the live stream right now?
Like, let's see, there are 10, and one's me, one's Greg.
That's not what
I
it's
guess we
about.
It's the cost associated with it.
But I wanna also hear the other part too,
We
what,
could maybe have it, the drawing here, and if people wanted to come and see, that could be an option.
I don't, just
Right,
something that's,
I don't know.
that shows people that it's not closed, that's all.
what was the other thing you had?
The other thing was just the randomization of the ballots, so people that would be a way to equally give somebody a ballot that has like a different order.
My only
So-
concern with that is, again, it's gonna be a cost thing. You have to run different ballots. The machines aren't smart enough to know.
Yeah, I mean, these are just the.
No, I know, I'm just saying, I'm just trying to think, I think if we do that, or just have different ones, it would have to be a machine per ballot type.
I would think, I don't even know if Westchester County would do that.
We need to add,
Yeah,
why
we have
don't,
to
we
ask
just
that
look into, see if that's a possibility.
If the machines aren't smart
Maybe
enough to
there's
know the
another,
difference.
way to.
Maybe just doing it here settles the nerves.
No, she's saying on the ballot, you know how they, let's say there were 5 people, each ballot would have like, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then the next one would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then the next one would be 1, 2,
So they
3,
would
4,
have to
5.
know who they're.
But the
voting for.
machine is not smart enough to know, it just knows slot 1 should be Lauren. It doesn't know that on that next ballot, slot 1 was Tamika, and then on the next ballot, slot 1 was Jeremy. Unless, I
if
was
we
saying
could
it has
ask,
to be different.
I don't know if people smarter than me might have a better idea. Better
I
idea.
don't know if it's possible, let's find
Yeah,
out.
the machines just
We can
aren't,
ask the question.
Okay.
Scantrons are,
As I said, it was just something that I thought about and
Yeah.
a couple people had talked to me about that as well. And it wasn't like a big, fall on my sword for it, but it was something I
No,
thought you guys,
absolutely.
we could talk through.
Yeah, because I mean, it is a proven fact that.
Yeah.
If you don't know, you're
I mean,
just gonna vote for the first
Lauren and I
2.
benefited from it, so I'm not gonna, but I don't know if that's the reason or.
It's a question.
You gotta have faith in yourself.
The most
I do.
recent guidance I can see on this, and it doesn't give us a lot. And excuse the pun here, it does say that the ballot location must be decided upon by drawing lots. So I don't know if that would allow for randomization
What?
by drawing the lots.
It's telling you have to draw them that way. And I'm gonna be honest, I assumed when I ran for the board that it was alphabetical, I just assumed it. And then I found out that it wasn't, that I had to be on a virtual call, and not all of us showed up for the virtual call to get pulled, because it was literally not that important. I
I didn't know anything about it.
I didn't either, none of us do, until you
Yeah.
run for the board, you don't know.
Yeah.
And we joined a virtual call, I don't even think Stephanie was on when we did it, we were at work. Did you get on? Probably not, I don't think you did, I really don't think you did, I think it was me and one other of the candidates. And
Yeah, I don't think we are.
I mean, it literally
Yeah.
wasn't either.
Right, I think.
Yeah. So, I mean,
I just didn't do it.
But I mean,
I
the
mean-
fact of the matter is, I think it's open to candidates, right? So that's the most important part. I think, I'm not
well,
saying
they're
that
saying
to
the
not
public,
add.
they're saying the public has expressed that they want to be a part of the process.
I get it,
I
I'm
think it's
just
just
saying
the
in general,
optics
it's
of
not
it,
closed.
Well, that's
My-
fine,
my
and also,
point
I'm
is that,
curious
like,
what
if-
other school districts do, to be honest.
Yeah, we were all running against the next election together. I'm just saying, all of us, even without the community knowing alone that all the candidates have an opportunity to be part of it.
They don't know.
You're not gonna be complicit with Carmen pulling, Stephanie's name for the first position if you're also running, and it's open to all the candidates. I'm not suggesting that you shouldn't.
Yeah,
open
and
it up
maybe
all
it's
the
just
way,
the way we put it out.
But just for people
The
to
way
know,
we word it,
whoever has
yeah.
concern would
Yeah,
likely
yeah.
have the concern a lot low, would be much lower. If they were aware that all the candidates had the opportunity to be there.
Yeah, to be present.
True.
And the second of all is that it goes, it's chosen based on the first person that gets their petition in, gets chosen first, then second gets chosen second, third gets chosen third. It's by the time
So
stamp.
that is what we did.
Yes, that's what you did. Yeah, that's how, and it's all spelled out ahead of time before you get into there. At least I felt it was spelled out.
I number as the petition comes in, so if you
Yes.
have your first petition, you get picked first, but it could be one of three, I don't pick what I.
Yeah, and I know I was
And
not the
then,
person.
yeah,
so-
Mike did it last time,
You
So
didn't
you
pick for me.
picked, but she's saying it's timestamp, right?
Oh,
So,
but-
when you're petition, you sort it here first.
Okay.
She's gonna say Tamika's number is, so you get the
Okay.
first draw out of
Okay,
those.
gotcha.
First, not saying you get your first
There's
spot.
also
Okay.
two-person control. Carmen is directing me when to pull,
Okay.
because she's the
Gotcha.
district
If
clerk.
there's 10, and you're by number, so like, there's 10 numbers in the pot. Right, so like, if you've handed your petition in first, you're number one.
So I'll pull
You
out.
get to
Not
draw.
one on the ballot.
You're the first draw.
Or drawn of
You're the
the
first-
motions in the hat.
Okay, gotcha.
And this may be written into law, that's why we have to look into it. I don't know how it can all, I don't know,
I have no idea.
don't know. Yes,
I'm done with my question.
Okay, this is nothing negative about your question. But I've been saying it since I got on the board. We are not supposed to be bringing up concerns from the community. If there's a chain of command, and that's not what happens at the board table. So your concerns are your concerns, so it's not really directed at that. But that I'm hearing that is not really something that's supposed to happen at the board table. If a community member has a concern, there's chains, there's actual procedures that they go to, and they can email it in. But
I know what you're saying completely. I just feel like the policies are,
No,
it's not clear,
but
like
your
what
policy-
people are, because it's just related to the policies. It's not like this is some burning thing that's going on in the community that was.
No, I'm just for future.
Yeah.
Because when we do that, like, I saw 3 people at the grocery store and they both talked to me about something. But in the grocery store, I would never, but you know what? I haven't mentioned it here. Because I said you have to email the superintendent. You can also feel free to email the Board of Ed, because it just helps when we're doing things like
I
this.
totally hear you and I agree, and I will definitely do my best to follow that. This, I feel like, is a small exception because it's not that clear to anyone other than us that we're reviewing a specific policy on, other than it goes up in the agenda. And so if somebody has looked into the issue, it just comes up based on, this is the policy that we're reviewing. So there wasn't like I'm gonna have time to tell you to email Erica or talk to Mike or whatever. But I hear you in the bigger picture of things, and
But you know what? It would actually have been more helpful too if they did write in,
yeah,
because then they
but
would
then
be
the
like,
policy would have been passed already.
No, we have two readings, that's why we have, that's also actually a really good point, that's why we always read first reading and second
But we
reading.
don't read them.
We do.
They're posted, so we don't read them
Everything's
because they're
posted.
written for anyone who's
Right.
knows that it's there to go read them.
Right,
and
I just
see
think
if
it's
there.
not
We don't read
clear
it
what we're
because it's written
reviewing
in
for
the
anyone other than us.
I don't think Corey's question is out of line. I feel like we're discussing a policy of how we're moving forward. Someone raised something to her and she has interest in it. And she raised a question. It's not an I got you moment or.
oh, no,
I'm not-
I did, I said
No, I'm not saying
specifically to
that you
her,
said that,
that
but I'm
it's not.
also saying that we can't sit here and limit people as we're going through policies and discussions to say, you can't bring up something because you heard it, someone asked you a question and you now have a question about it yourself as a board member, and you can't bring it up at the table. As you're discussing. I know,
Don't bring it
you
up.
didn't say that, but you're saying, we can't bring, like, your statement was from people, forget the people. Someone spoke to her or people spoke to her and she and herself was like, oh, we're doing this policy today. And this is actually a question I have. Let me ask the question. We can't limit people that are sitting here by saying,
No,
you can't bring something.
I think the only part is then when we're bringing it up, even if it was that you had a conversation with someone else, I think they're just saying, don't say you heard it from people, bring it up as then your own concern. So if
Yeah,
we just
no,
leave
I
out
know.
that part,
I'm
if
learning
you leave
how
out
to
that,
work
yeah,
with
as long as we
you
leave
with
out that part, I think,
Yeah.
even if it was something that came up and you're like, you know what, that is a great idea.
I started
yeah,
to become
I
an
know,
action nerd,
I
so that
know.
should have been.
I know. No, I got it. I think it's just
Yeah.
then that perception. I think it was just a,
It just goes back a little bit to
Part
like board
there.
docs and it not having the ease of like knowing, you know, like. I feel like these are super important issues that, you know, and I'm not on the policy committee, and so you guys have already been living with this stuff. And then, like, I saw it for the first time on
Yeah.
Friday, so like there's a small window of time to like deal with like a major issue. I mean, you know, some of the things we passed already with like no one watching.
I know,
You know,
but some of
that's like
these,
a
like,
great opportunity for people to get
well, that's why we
involved.
have that first reading. We can have the discussion and then if people are at home watching, even if they're not watching it live, then they should be emailing in. So that when we have the
Or
second
comment,
reading,
they can
before we
comment.
approve anything, yeah, they should come and comment, email in. Second reading before we approve it, we're gonna ask again, like, anyone have anything? Cause we can do changes.
Yes, I just think that
there.
goes again to posting something that's clear, like a PDF, that you can see the actual policies that we're reviewing. You can quickly look at it instead of getting lost in board docs.
To correlate your
It's all-
questions today, right? It's raised questions to the policy that we're doing. If people choose to watch the meetings and they have concerns,
Yeah.
some of which you've reflected or we've discussed here, now they can email the board and let them know so
Yeah,
that it's
yeah.
something that we all are aware of.
Yes.
But without the conversation or without the question, right, that conversation would never happen. So
Right.
we would just go through the motions of
No.
the policy.
We're not saying don't ask questions.
No, I'm not
Yeah.
saying that you're saying don't ask questions. I'm just saying that
The
this
process is
table is
bringing
the
up
process is gonna
conversation.
bring
Yeah.
up conversation.
Yeah.
And maybe that invokes something from someone else with another question that they might have.
Yes.
So.
Right.
Yeah, and we want, so it's, and this is like actually like a lot, and there's times when we're in these meetings that we say like, there's certain things that I don't wanna make any decisions on before we get more input, and like we brought that up, like. Let's even go back to cell phone policy, I in no way, shape or form will touch the cell phone policy until we get input from everyone else.
So we'd have to
So
have a
they, like,
public
some of
hearing.
these are like,
It's like basic.
some of these are like formalities that we have to do. But yeah, like when we get to the bigger ones, like there's times where it's not necessarily like we have a meeting and then it's brought up necessarily the next meeting. Like when we have a policy meeting, it doesn't necessarily come up the next board meeting. Sometimes like there's a few that we even put back in the folder and we say like, we need to do more
Oh, yeah, I'm
research
sure.
and stuff. So
So just
they,
like, we don't know your process, the community doesn't know our process.
yeah.
So it's just maybe about being a little bit more clear about what's coming up that we're talking about, because maybe that will help with engagement of people coming to a meeting to talk about something that they're passionate about.
To tell people what we're talking, what policies that are upcoming are.
Maybe in some way, or, you know, I don't even know the timing, the lead time that.
I
you
probably
have.
would,
And
I probably don't.
I'm gonna even say if something gets approved with the second reading, that can be edited at any time. So if a community
100%.
member still comes up, there's something that we just approved a month or so ago that we are now gonna be bringing back with a new revision.
Right.
Nothing is like, it has to live the way it is ever. So even if people miss it and then they see it later and they're like, oh, they already did the second reading and approved it, they should still email and
That's good to
still
know.
come up, because this is something, these policies are for the district, like it's not our decision.
This is like our biggest role.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
so this is something that we don't ever want this to become where we make we do the second reading and we never look at it again. This is something that should constantly be
Right, okay.
being revised, so I personally, being in this role, it's such a big role.
Yeah.
I would love more input.
Yeah.
Totally. I would love more input.
Same.
Didn't we make a policy that says we're gonna more regularly review the policy?
Yeah,
We did.
we did.
That's, yeah.
Meta. Oh, okay. So that was the first reading. We're gonna look into those things and bring them back. Very good question. Okay, first reading revision policy 2150, filling board vacancies.
Motion to waive the reading.
Second, all in favor?
So this one, actually, this was something I didn't know. And I feel like it's a question that we've kind of asked before, like what happens if somebody no longer can serve on, if someone can't fulfill their 3-year commitment, what happens there?
This spelled it out.
So this now tells you everything.
How long until there's a social media post speculating why this was put in place?
I can close that speculation. If you look, we are going in numerical order, and this was the next one on the list. Plus also, I'm going, not just kidding. Now that you bring it up.
So
Of the 6 people that are watching.
it's also interesting because we changed, the first paragraph was so vague, and then, so this is the NISBA recommended language on this one now. That's illegal, sorry, it's 8.
It's 8.
So we'll bring this one back.
And yeah, so just so you can read through it, it tells you why you can resign, how to do it, and then what happens if they do. So if anyone's thinking of that.
Actually, I have a question. on that.
Yes.
If someone has to leave the board,
Mhm.
who appoints the new possible?
That's the filling of vacancy at the bottom.
The Board of Education has the power to fill any vacancy
Right.
by a majority vote or by special election, which may occur on the board by reason of death, resignation, removal from office.
No, that I get, special election, but like, where do you get the person from?
So.
It's like someone, like, you guys might just, someone from
What
the
I've seen-
community could volunteer or.
So if you have those only 3 categories, that the board can appoint somebody, the board can leave it vacant, or they can have a runoff election. What I've seen when they do an appointment is they solicit interested individuals, and then the board can make the decision from there. So the board will say, at our next meeting, we're going to take input on anybody who would like to be considered for appointment, and they solicit names, and then they can take action.
But please don't resign, okay? Don't just give anybody any ideas.
Now you can.
Now?
Jeremy, don't, no one test us, you're all well trained now. Okay, next reading. This is,
This one's
the first reading of the retired. This is the first reading to retire policy, school budget and bond referenda information,
Motion to waive the reading.
1150.
Motion.
All in favor?
Wait, I have a question. Do we need to do this a second?
We don't have to do this one a second time, do we?
No, we
So we can
can
just
vote on it. to
Make a
retire.
motion to
I
retire
just
now.
also want you guys to look at the dates on this.
I know.
The last time this was adopted in 1987, it has not been looked at since.
So, and then if this policy is addressed in the policy 6120 budget hearing.
Yes,
That's
we,
why we're
yes,
retiring.
it's in budget hearing now.
Motion to retire,
You have to waive the
motion to
second reading.
waive the second reading of policy 1150 to retire.
Second.
All in favor?
Motion to retire policy 1150 school budget and bond referenda information.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, and then the last policy of the day. This is the first reading to retire, this is the first reading of policy 1100, recommended to be retired, public information program. The board releases public information regarding
Motion
board
to waive.
meeting.
Second.
All in favor? This is also covered in another policy now, right, Carmen? 1130.
So motion to waive the second reading,
Second. All in favor?
motion to retire,
Code 11.
code 1100.
Second.
All in favor? Good work, guys.
All right.
You know, a lot of stuff for both, community members.
Oh, no, right.
Four goals.
Go back to that, appointing a new board trustee. It's not here, agenda item.
So, we're gonna keep this, we're gonna try to keep this clear and concise and quick.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's where we are with goal one. And we had heard, from the trustees that these should be measurable. And that they should also be. We can add, and we should add, after we write our goal, what we will do. We don't do that tonight. We will add, and we can inform the public of what we plan to do to make these goals happen, right? So we don't have to get into the weeds of that. Here's where we landed on goal one, and let's make sure that we are okay with it. Goal one, enhance community engagement by establishing focus groups and or organizing meet and greet events with board members and the community, adding a process for an ad hoc student board member. That's more of the detail, but that's the goal. And then we will add. We can add how. So basically, we're enhancing community engagement. Enhancing community engagement by establishing focus groups and organizing meetings. This is basically saying how we're going to do.
But can we also add to that the advocacy portion of it that we left in?
Continue,
like I wrote, like enhance communication and advocacy, engage community and legislators in a productive way to ensure support of district efforts. Right, and then like I put all the little things that we had talked about.
Did you send that to me? Or Amelia? I don't know, I don't think you did. I don't think you did. Enhance, so can you read it? Can you just read? I'm doing this in real time. Can you read it to me?
Okay, so I just wrote, enhance communication and advocacy. And then, it's just engage the community and legislators in productive ways to ensure support of district efforts. Right, and then under that, I have,
Hold on, you're way too fast, girl.
Enhance communication.
I wanna
enhance
Engage
communication.
legislator.
It's the third one, mine was the third, I wrote them all.
Oh, this is goal three. I'm on goal one.
No, I wanted to combine, I did my own,
Oh, so.
like I'm saying, ignore my numbers,
Look at three though,
yeah.
that you have.
No, that's not. No, it's okay.
That's one,
Yep, it's one.
that's why I said ignore my numbers, it's just, it's my three, but it's really one. Because I just felt that the advocacy portion of that for us is super important with foundation aid, getting more money within the point, like. That needs to be something that we'll really try to focus and push on, right?
Yeah.
Sorry,
I got this ways. Effective ways to ensure support of district efforts. That's the.
And then we do by. Hold on, and we're not, I'm gonna, can you email that to me, Tamika?
Yeah. Let's see.
And then I'm gonna list in the goal how. And you have some of the how, and I have some of the how. We'll combine the bullet points of the how we're gonna do it. At the how, and that's a measurable piece.
Yeah, so one other thing was the board will support the superintendent and district leadership in an effort to construct new avenues of public communication and to improve existing structures. As we talked about, like how we can.
Email to me.
Okay.
I don't know if it's written in. Well,
What
you can
was,
take a screenshot.
Yeah, I'll give it to
it. For my.
Yeah, I'll give you this and then
what did you?
I think I was.
I'll do the how. That's.
I know.
Everyone agrees that this is the way we go with this? Okay. Goal two is the revised policy revisions to the 4,000 and 5,000 series. Revised policy series 4,000 and 5,000 to ensure they reflect current regulations and best practices and evidenced by completing revisions, receiving feedback from stakeholders and adopting policy. Goal two?
I wrote like federal, I did to develop an ongoing policy review cycle that seeks to align policy and practice. And as well as state and federal laws, because I feel like we're kind of working with this, but what you have.
The first part you said too is, like we said before, that's actually a policy we're putting in place to make sure that we are
Oh, okay.
We're making a policy to make sure we're
Or do the
doing our
policy,
policy
okay.
committee, yeah.
And then I just wrote review and update its policies 4,000 to 5,000 in a timely manner, because those are the ones we're working
Yeah,
on.
next, we have to get them, we're only in 2,000 right now,
Oh, okay.
and it's a goal, I mean, what happens,
Right, we
what
can
happens
say,
if we don't
okay.
reach it?
Remember.
We're skipping it, and there was only one policy
There's one
under
policy right
3,000,
now.
but we're gonna
Okay.
put two, we're gonna put a second one.
We are gonna add.
Wasn't there one, I think the other, last week we were talking, we're adding a second one
We're, we,
for the 3,000s.
policy committee spoke about, we spoke to Mike and Carmen about adding there. They're not, nothing is required there, but what we, there's things that Mike may want to add there, but he's not.
Recommend adding that.
Recommend adding there, such as, what was the recommendation? A lot of other schools have the, my brain is fried.
My brain is fried, I can't remember anything.
A lot of other schools have things under there, but they're really around the structure, so. The tree,
Oh, you're gonna
Org
put the
chart,
chain,
org
of the org
charts.
chart, thing, that's your
org charts,
goal.
chain of
Yes,
command.
yes.
That will go there, so.
So
Mike
like that
recommend-
flow
we actually
chart?
said to Mike, why, maybe we should have this.
But that's one of
He
his
said he'd like
goals
to
for
have
the
it,
year.
we're gonna support him in that.
An organization.
But that, yeah, so that's the goal for the year. So hopefully by the end of the year, we could add that in, but that's his goal.
I mean, he's recommending that we do it, and we will support that. We should have that. We don't, we should. That's 3,000. Okay, and anyone on the board,
Can't wait.
can recommend a policy to the policy committee, you all know that, right?
Yeah,
You guys can look at the policies and be
but
like,
you're working through NISBA, we're doing a
Yeah,
methodical.
yeah, we're trying.
Yeah, we got this under. Okay.
Oh, that's my good.
Team.
They're gonna tell you, they're gonna talk about lunch. Goal 3 says. Goal 3 with goal 3 with the one about board docs. We're actually going to remove this one because I think we're moving in a direction to do that, and Carmen is working very closely on making that happen for us. So, and we have already.
We're gonna let
discussed
that be-
budgeting for it next year.
also, we needed that to potentially be, but that's gonna be Carmen's goal.
It's gonna
Cause
be.
like, so, cause that's not something that we're gonna be doing, that's when I'm gonna be one of her goals.
But it's the district clerk will work with us to make sure this happens, but I don't think it should be a goal.
Not goal, but yeah, one of her.
Yes, because it's not really our. The district clerk is one that is using board docs, right? Now, we're not using board docs, the district clerk is using.
Well, we're using it to communicate with it. But she's enabling us to do that.
Right,
However it gets done, I'm probably her.
okay. Yes, it's just. Okay, so now we're down to, back to the board. The other goal we had was the board would like to establish a process, choose and appoint a student member. While adhering to the state legislation and mandates being developed. Again, I think this goes with goal 1 as a part of goal 1. Yeah. So we don't have to have a separate goal for this, it can be part of goal 1. Which I have that in there, okay. Then the next goal. Was keep track of school board activities to help facilitate and provide a more informed board self-evaluation. Continuous progress monitor our goals for the year. I'm fine with this remaining a goal. I think it could. I already set up the sheet, the list, but.
And this was something going back to, I think, the question you had before, when are we checking on this? So those 2 dates that Mike put up at the December 17th and June 18th dates, that would be a time for us to also review and check to see what we're doing.
We're gonna have a check-in, like we did.
We're gonna, yeah,
Okay.
so this way we can see like, are we on target?
And we we asked Mike to add AIS check-ins. Throughout the year,
March 19th.
so they're added to our calendar now. So it doesn't have to be our goal. That's, the district will do that.
Do we have any goals around like assessing student data?
So.
No, go ahead. Do you have a call on that?
I did.
Yeah, that's why, I saw that hand go off.
No, no, because last time I felt like we didn't do anything like, I mean, we were doing stuff around the students, but it wasn't like directly for the students. So one of the things I wrote down was well-being, connection, and belonging. The well-being and belonging of our students are both continuing priorities of families and for the district. And one of the things that I talked about was that Venus implementation that we're doing now, like we haven't talked about that. It's like this great thing that we're bringing to the district, and it's gonna help us so much with just the social and emotional learning of our kids. And I think as a district, like, as a board, we should really be like excited about that and to see how, you know, like, I was on that call, like,
Yeah, me too.
while they were selecting it, and like the stats that they had were incredible. And to bring that to our school district is like amazing, and it should be a board goal that we assess what we've done over the year.
Well, what we're doing with the data.
Yeah, exactly, and celebrate that. That was just, I felt like.
I mean, if you're gonna do the
Is that
screening,
PPS though? I don't know if that's a board goal. I think that's a PPS. I think that's not a board goal.
What I would ask the board to consider is, if you think of it in terms of your area of oversight of the district carrying out its goals. Within the district goals, we're going to be accomplishing a lot of what the board is asking itself to do. And so I'd be mindful of that. Because, and if you see some missing items in here or things from the strategic plan that we should drill down onto or areas of focus, that's definitely a discussion where we can have how we want our departments and district staff spending their time.
I would really like to see a goal associated with task force.
But that's not our goal.
Our goal isn't to evaluate, to see if the students improved.
We can do that, but that's not us. We're evaluating the data.
I mean, we haven't even really looked at the data.
It's coming. That's another, it's in our calendar, November, right?
November 6th.
I mean, but what are we gonna do when we look at this data? Because
That's a district goal, right? Like, so in terms of, because I'm with you, but when I think about this, that would be like something that we talked to Mike about being important, and then the district would be implementing a goal to increase test scores or to obtain some improvement of X% or have some kids that are to receive some level of additional achievement, not that everyone's in the same place.
Or additional support.
Yeah, or, and then find ways that what do we need to do, the MTSS process, you know, all of these things, but I don't think I just don't think those are board goals. Like,
Okay.
I think that it's our job, maybe we set a goal, maybe a board goal would be to outline 3 areas that we want to review to make certain that they're making the achievements that we're hoping for, and we could hold ourselves accountable to make sure we don't say we're busy. And we can review those things as part of our process, but to make it our process, I'm just thinking it's operational.
So, not to throw a wrench in the whole process at this stage of the game, but when we take a look at our strategic plan and we take a look at those 4 pillars, you have student engagement, clear and targeted communication, real world experiences, and shared decision making. We as the administrative team take a look at that and say, this is what the board and the community wants us to focus on. These are our shared expectations. Within their real world experiences, we're looking at my understanding is the belief that in pursuing real world experiences will have the externality of showing student improvement on standardized metrics, right? Because we know that if you have engaged learners who are learning within not a vacuum of a textbook, but within how this applies to real world skills, that they probably will do better in attaining and developing that knowledge. So maybe the board would want to consider that they have their goals.
Yeah, why do we have to have so many?
You know, how many are we up to now? We don't. That's the thing. We don't. We have one
the
is
first
the
one.
communication and advocacy. 2 is policy. 3 is keep track of 3 board applications.
Because last year we had too many at 5.
It was a lot.
I'm gonna suggest that the 3rd one be something along the lines of that we monitor data.
Yes.
We should make a goal of monitoring data. I hear what you're saying, because we haven't really done it. We know we're going to do it, but I don't think that's the point. I think we should make a goal around monitoring data.
That.
Monitoring data.
With the board, no, but not the achievement, but
No,
making sure we
but
do
the
the work
action
of
of-
reviewing
yeah.
the data.
If I could,
Yes.
would the board, would the board consider that they are going to monitor progress towards strategic plan implementation as a goal?
That's fine.
Yeah.
Because
And
contained within
what if-
that is all the work that your administrative team and staff are doing.
And when we like look at
That's
the
what we're-
how, we could do for the how, one of the ones like continually monitor data.
Yeah.
I would like to look at the data.
Right, so that could be something like, but that could be like, you know, on the first one, hey, you
But
have a
that's a
little
whole
add-on,
other, that's a whole other part of it, like how.
right,
One of the
monitoring,
things we were talking about,
monitor.
like what data to share
Data.
with us, whether it's data or data, that's the big question.
Depends on the day.
But
data,
But
monitor
like, not
data
to
and
put
use it to
too
drive
much,
continuous
you know,
improvement.
work
They take that part
to
there.
pull the data for us. See, I said data and then data
Yes.
in the same sentence. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of. Yeah.
Okay, that leaves us with, parade, and I think that.
And that's a big total.
First of all, like, some of these are really big, and if, like. Goal 2, I know goal 2 is a big one, that's gonna take a, like. Again, the policy one. Realistically, when we meet, we set an hour time, and it's there an hour and a half, 2 hours, and we get. 5 or 6 done.
10 if we're lucky.
But the 8 to 10 will be like where we're gonna bring back one, like we're just making minor edits. For a second reading,
It's a lofty goal.
it's a lot, so that's gonna take up a lot of time.
Once you add 3,000
In the year. We just,
3,000 is creating,
Yeah.
creating
It's
it.
not that many, so.
you know, I know, but we
You
wanna,
literally create it. And so I know that's, yes.
and again, if we don't get to the end game of our goal, like, then that's something that we can evaluate, like.
Why didn't we?
Why didn't we, what was going through there, but, I believe it was.
No, I
Carmen.
looked at their sheet.
I think it
was.
I know.
I think it
Really
was Carmen that was
blaming
slacking during the meeting.
And then the whole we did have was keep track of school board activities. I already met that goal because I created the spreadsheet.
Okay. We're good with that?
That was all good to everybody?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a great job, everyone.
And then, wait, I just thought of something else. Oh my goodness, Erica. Stop, is wrong with you? It's 10 o'clock. The bond. Do we want to mention anything about?
But the problem with the bond monitoring, but the problem with the bond is that the work's not gonna start for another year, so that could be a next year's goal.
Yeah. Okay, as long as
Okay.
we're good with that, we're good with that.
Well, if I could.
We're not gonna write, we're
He's like, the whole time.
us, everybody, scare everybody. We're not putting another bond.
Let me talk about the bond in
In the
our
next,
next
okay.
part.
That's fair, I got it.
So, I would encourage the board to continue to revisit the strategic plan implementation website and dashboard.
Yeah.
Because I want to say that as an example,
Where's that?
it's under, if you go to the strategic plan on our school district website. And you click on the strategic plan website. It will show you there. I want to just see if,
Yeah, I'm in Board of Ed.
I want to make sure there isn't something that's related to bond or facilities upgrade.
By looking at that or. I'll make this more easy.
As an example, we should cross-reference, to use that phrase, to, if there is a goal here. That rather than drill down specifically to the bond, perhaps we link it to one of our initiatives that's occurring related to the facilities of the district.
Because I think the reason I brought this up is because I feel like our facilities are really important. Maintain them is important, and that does sort of fall under our purview, budgeting, everything else.
I think though, realistically, for this year, facilities is gonna be looking at a lot of gathering. Right, because we just put if I can jump into then facilities update for committee. We just submitted the SCD August 28th. It takes 8 months from there to get approval. So while we want to look at and maybe we could look at the facilities, it has to be, I think, separate from the bond, because nothing really from the bond or capital project that was just approved in May is going to be starting now. So it's kind of hard to monitor that, because right now we're in this waiting game of what is going to happen. Other facility things, if you want to look at other infrastructure things aside from the bond, that could be something, but I don't think it should be tied to the bond this year. I think that is a next year's goal to potentially look at.
I agree.
It's just nothing gonna be, we can't really quantify anything this year.
You have enough goals. Why are you trying to make more? It's not that I'm trying to make, I just want to make sure all of our bases are covered.
for what we need at Hendrick Hudson, right? And we have to make sure that we're covering that for our work and to support the district.
Well, I think if we go back to the district goals, there's so many here, and this is where it gets really granular, because now we're looking at, I mean, some of them have 4, some of them have like 7, 8 things like this. We just need to make sure that we're holding everyone here accountable, and that, but if we're monitoring all that progress, then basically we're saying we're monitoring all of these goals. So we're kind of covering all of our bases.
I agree. Okay, so. Perfect. We are landing on
How many goals we got?
3. 3 big ones. And,
That's it.
and we are going to, I'm gonna make a list for us. So I will bring everyone's comments together. I will make this cohesive. Carmen, I don't think we have to present this again. Like, we will put it on our website, on the board website, right? That's the next step. We don't have to bring it back again, do we?
We will be
I
doing,
think-
updates to the community on it, so.
Oh, yeah, but the final verbiage.
Perhaps an adoption of the goals.
Yeah,
as an
I think
agenda
we
item.
do, yeah.
Okay, so I will, at the next week, October 9th, we'll bring these back.
I'll send you my.
Okay, and we'll make it cohesive, make it make sense, and I think we're gonna be at 3 goals. Okay? Okay, committee reports.
I'll go first. Well, I'm gonna just add a little bit more. We had our first facilities meeting. Just to give you bird's eye view again, we did start talking about that capital project with the bond that was approved back in May. Phase 1 is starting in the sense that the SED plan was submitted on August 28th. Phase 1 is all outside structure and roofing, which is about 7.5 million out of the 30 million, with a breakdown to each of the schools, based on the needs. It's pretty much all roof work, some stuff that needs to be done on the sides of some buildings, and some just minor repairs that are going to improve safety. We are looking to bring KSQ, which is the company that we are working with, to do a presentation on all of that in January, approximately in January, if we can have them come in, for just an update as to where we're going. And then by the end of this school year, we should have a construction manager who can give us better understandings of how much everything's gonna cost and the timeline and when it's gonna get done. Because we said there's the options of, are we doing all of the work simultaneously? Are we working in, like, is it gonna be one school, then the next school, then the next school? Are we gonna do 2 schools at a time and then 2 schools at a time? All of that will come out when we have more information. First, we need approval. From the state, yes, and that should be in approximately 8 months, and if we count, that brings us to about April.
That was a resolution we supported, okay?
I'm just gonna add the EPC update.
Oh, yes.
The building permits were obtained last week. If everything proceeds as planned, construction will begin in November, focusing on weatherization, building control panel, and LED lighting. Work will be done when students are not in the building to minimize any disruptions.
But it doesn't have to be a break, it could be done, they said second shift, so that could be at the end of the school day. Everything that goes with the EPC is something that should be saving us money, so all of these things should then bring back money to the district, to use somewhere else.
Yes.
From the budget. And then we talked about all the summer work that was done, and yeah. Pretty lot of work.
Wonderful, thanks, guys.
Safety.
I can help you go inside with you.
Okay, perfect. So the big takeaway for safety, the town of Cortland at most of its fields. Yeah, the town of Cortland at most of its fields has AEDs, the defibrillators installed, and since they use our facilities as well, there are 3 locations in the district that have AEDs. they're in a locked box, and I understand that the process is gonna be, you would naturally dial 911. When you dial 911, they can share the code to open the AED box. And the district, Mike and Amanda are working for an alternative approach to opening the box at Furnace Woods, because there is naturally no service there to call 911, at least until the cell tower is
January.
completed, which we're hoping happens in January. Yeah, I'm hoping we get an update on that to make sure that's still on track. The location of the boxes in our district are, there's one at the high school in the, parking lot by the track, the blue building, when you come up and go around the horseshoe back down again, where that blue storage containers, like the oval poles and stuff are housed. There's another one down at Frank G, down at the maintenance building. And then there's also one, between Furnace Woods and Blue Mountain. It is on the back corner of Furnace Woods, in the vicinity closest to Blue Mountain, so that it's sort of equally able to be utilized between those two sets of fields. The rest of the stuff that goes on in safety, a lot of it I don't believe is public. I know fire drills and other required drills are taking place in all of our buildings. The administrators in the buildings are working with Amanda to make sure that they are in compliance and get all the necessary drills done before whatever the timelines are, December 1st or something, for the number of drills they've done.
I just had a question going back to the cell tower. And I'm not sure if you know, was there going to also be one in Buchanan?
So there was going to be one in the VA hospital, and I believe that there was a power struggle between the company that was implementing it and the federal government over who maintained control. The cell tower companies want to control their equipment, the federal government wants to control whatever's on its land, so I don't know where we are with that. I'm not sure if Buchanan has a separate.
Buchanan is working on a separate.
Okay,
Yeah.
do we know where?
Veterans Park.
Yeah, Veterans Park, that's what I was.
Okay, awesome, great.
Yeah, it's in the works right now. I think they're trying to get contracts or something for it. There's a whole, it's in the works.
At the Memorial Day celebration last year, council advisor update. Great, came up and said that they're gonna.
Village Mayor.
Village Mayor, sorry.
Okay.
I'll work to implement that, the village, the Veterans Park.
So I think that will definitely improve.
Oh,
safety.
so apparently the issue in Buchanan is, which I say this and everyone should know, if you're in the west side of the town, Montrose, Buchanan, Verplank area, and you dial 911, there's a good shot that you're gonna have your phone answered by someone in Rockland or Orange County, because that's the cell tower you pick up from.
All the time.
So it's important to know that,
From a cell phone, if you don't know.
from a cell phone.
About the bus camera, like with the tickets going
Oh,
live.
great call.
November 1st.
October 1st, it goes live with warnings for 30 days.
Yeah, but then.
And then starting November 1st, it'll be a live ticket issued. The only area not yet covered in our district will be the city of Peekskill. They have not yet finalized the process. And because they have their own court system, the cities are not covered under the county, the blanket program that was implemented. So the small portion of our district that sits in the city of Peekskill will not be able to utilize that system yet, with at least naturally the cameras work, but the ticketing system does.
And so there'll be a month of, as you said, a month of warnings and then.
Warning.
Month after that.
First, I think with the warning, and then.
So
she
it's
said
your-
November 1st, you start.
If you pass the
Yeah,
stop
like,
sign, right?
Yeah, like you pass the bus.
Like if you don't wanna wait and you're like.
Yeah.
Cameras.
People have to also be cognizant in parking lots in the schools,
Yeah.
because they sometimes see the arm out and think they can go around it, but you can't. So if the bus is pulled up in front of the school, you can't pass it.
Same thing on roads that have it. I don't know that we have them in our district, but with a divider, 2 lanes divider, if it's on the outside lane in the opposite direction you're heading with a divider, you still are supposed to stop.
Just like stop, I don't know.
So, yes, the stop, just to summarize, anytime the stop arm is activated on the school
Yeah.
bus after October 1st till October 31st, a warning will be issued. And then after that.
In the mail.
In the mail.
In the mail.
In the
It's
mail.
not like live.
They're not gonna stop you. You're gonna get it.
Right, and then you just get a fine.
And then it's a fine after that.
And I think
each
it's
subsequent-
escalating.
Each subsequent time it should occur, there is an increase in the fine.
And the ticket is issued not to the driver, but to the registered owner of the vehicle.
Similar to red light
Makes
cameras.
sense. Yeah, you
Yeah.
only have the license plate and registration.
Same to the parking ticket.
Mhm.
Don't run everyone your car.
Pretty much.
not during school hours.
Thank you guys for that update.
Anybody else have any other policy update, committee updates?
Can we go back and read this?
You can stay.
I just make a quick comment. I've been to 3 back to school nights. And I have my 4th tomorrow, but they were all really good. Everything was great. All the teachers were great. All the parents seemed very happy. Friendly went really well last night.
Yeah, Frenchie was great.
Yeah.
At the middle school, the PA went out and Anthony was going around from classroom to classroom saying, "Time to move on now."
I believe at the district safety committee that was brought up and it's been relayed to make sure we get on that.
And I think also, so one of the conversations at the meeting to that point was a reminder that the staff can use all the VoIP phones, have an intercom system in them, and there is a code they can enter to override a muted or, like quieted phone, so that will still, the message will still make its way throughout the building through all those devices.
Any other committee reports? Okay, can I have a motion to close the meeting?
Motion to close the meeting.
Second, all in favor?